No frontin', can't talk cause I'm up to something now. I'm up to something, let it be no frontin'.
We feature a team of panelists from different political institutions, different political persuasions, and this panel comes with different styles in discussing national issues.
I'm up to something now. I'm up to something.
If you are living a glass hot, don't throw stone.
No frontin', can't talk cause I'm up to something now. I'm up to something.
Well, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're joining us from. Again, welcome to the Liberia Radio and Television Network. And as you know, LRTN for short is a local media institution right here in Northeast Philadelphia. And we also run our office out of Liberia as well. And as you can see, I have my co-host with me tonight on this episode, Mr. David Tarkway. Mr. Tarkway, welcome and good evening to you.
Good evening, Derek, and good evening, everyone.
Thank you. And yes, let me welcome all of you to another episode. That is episode 9 of the Hard Zone, episode 9, season 4 of the Hard Zone. Before I get into anything here, let me ask you please to share this program on your Facebook page and also remember to follow this network. That is the Liberia Radio and Television Network. You can follow us on YouTube and on Facebook. And guys, if you're just tuning into the Hard Zone tonight, this is an opinion-based talk show where we feature a team of panelists from different political institutions, different political persuasions. And here they offer opinions based on issues in Liberia. And just by way of disclaimer, all of the opinions and position that will be offered tonight is the official position and opinion of the panelists that will be offering them, and not the official position of the network. And now, just to give you a heads up on what you can expect tonight on this episode, as always, we will bring you our current event. And for tonight's current event from the diaspora, we'll feature a representative aspirant of PA 185 district. So we will have a very brief interview with Mr. Joe Sakor for PA State or PA District 185 representative. And we will also bring you the current event coming out of Liberia, including major endorsements. And we will then introduce our panelists for this episode, and then we will have our discussion surrounding some of the topics from the current event. With that being said, and before I turn over to my co-host, Mr. David Tarkway, again, let me urge you all to please follow this network and also to please share this program on your individual social media pages. But for now, let me transition over to you, Mr. Tarkway, for the current event coming out of Liberia.
Thank you, Derek, and good evening, good morning, or good afternoon, wherever you are listening or following LRTN. And Derek, the trending developments are many, but I'd like to start with the issue of Stanton Witherspoon. Stanton Witherspoon, his name has become a household name, or has been a household name for quite a long time. He's a major talk show host in Liberia and on his Spoon Network. I understand he's the owner of Spoon Network. So it's one of the platforms that has for many years been discussing some of the political issues and other social issues in Liberia. So the name Stanton Witherspoon is a household name. His Spoon Network is also the household name in Liberia. And a few months ago, news broke out that he fell in trouble with the law in the United States in connection with fake degrees, medical degrees, to students, which, according to the reports, put a lot of patients at risk with these people who were given the fake degrees. You are in the United States, you know more than I do, but that's what I heard. But for now, what is being talked about in Liberia, what is trending is that the news broke out that he has finally been sentenced for 3 years, 5 months Initially, we have heard about 41 years, but then lately we just heard about, before we came on air, I heard about 3 years, 5 months. If that is correct or wrong, maybe you can correct me. And so it has been talked about here. ACOP. ACOP is a party being led by Lucene Camara. Towards the endorsement window still remains open. The political parties, most especially the CDC and the Unity Party, the two parties are the ones going for the runoff because none of the political parties or none of the presidential candidates, 20 presidential candidates contested the presidency, the Liberian presidency in the October elections failed to, or none of them were able to get the 50 plus one votes required to qualify one to be the president of Liberia. So, so that is why the Elections Commission called for the runoff in accordance with our election laws in Liberia. So both parties or both standard bearers of their respective parties, we are of the ruling coalition of a democratic change. We are the incumbent president, Joseph Boakai as the main opposition. They go into the runoff. And these two parties have been holding discussions, frantic discussions, consultations with these parties for their endorsement ahead of the runoff, which is scheduled for November 14th. And finally, they've been receiving endorsements, separate endorsement. It was first Weah, who was endorsed by the All Liberian People's Party of Benana Yuri. Benana Yuri and his ACOP have endorsed Weah, which many think or seditions feel is a major achievement, a major endorsement being celebrated up to now by seditions, most especially with the involvement of tough talking political commentator Henry Costa, who is more being focused in the debate or discussions about the endorsement of the ALP. Is more being focused in the discussions than even the Benana Yuri, who has been the leader of the reason why Costa is being focused in the debates is because he has been the tough talker. He has been the one who was with the CDC before and then joined, in the marriage with the Unity Party of Joseph Boakai. And so his endorsement of the CDC, has raised a lot of eyebrows. It's a matter of discussion. There are people who are patting me on the back for taking the right direction. There are others who are condemning him. In fact, his endorsement of CDC has also created a split or mixed feelings in the CDC, in the ranks and file of the CDC. There are some party officials or senior partisans of the CDC who are uncomfortable with the return of Costa or with his endorsement. And the issue is that as far as these officials or senior partisans of the CDC are concerned, Costa is not trustworthy. Other critics of Costa are saying that, look, the CDC should be very mindful, deal with Costa with the best of caution because he can betray you at any time. But there are others who feel that Costa's endorsement of President Weah is an added advantage of Mr. Weah and the CDC because Costa is an influential person. But yet there are others who believe or who see Costa as being an insignificant factor in terms of the runoff election and is not able to make Joe Weah to win. In fact, he himself does not have any constituency now because he contested once in elections in Liberia, wanted to be a senator or representative. He did not win, even come close to winning, a seat in the legislature. And his recent activities, his split with the CDC, his split with the Unity Party before, and now his endorsement of Weah has made many to think that person. There are others who say that his endorsement of Weah is an added advantage for Mr. Weah himself. And in the streets of Monrovia, what are Liberians saying about Costa's endorsement? As far as concerned, Costa is no threat to the Unity Party. You know, quite frankly, the Unity Party people are condemning Costa today because he endorsed George Weah. But yesterday, when Costa were on their side, they patted him on the back. They felt he was the right person. And again, uh, ACOP. Did I talk about ACOP, Derek?
Yes, he did.
The ACOP, Lieutenant Camara. Yes, some ACOP officials too. Not, you know, these endorsements are also creating mixed feelings in both parties. ACOP also has some problem with the endorsement of Joseph Boakai. There are other senior partisans of ACOP, or officials of ACOP, that are not satisfied with the move or with the decision, because as far as some of them concerned, the decision made to have endorsed Joseph Walker was not participatory or did not make the acquiescence. So it was unilaterally done by senior party officials, including Mr. Lucini Camara, who is the head of ACOP. So that split is there, but there are claims that those who did not agree or do not agree with the decision, ACOP officials or senior partisans who are also officials of the CDC government of Mr. Josh Weah. Then, meanwhile, the endorsement window still remains open. Alexander Cummings has not come up to make a decision. As far as many are concerned, Mr. Cummings is indecisive, but we are not hearing that it's likely tomorrow Mr. Cummings will be endorsed in the CDC or the Unity Party. But many think Mr. Cummings will be endorsed in CDC. And his critics say if the Mr. Cummings and his CPP endorse Mr. Weah, then it means Mr. Cummings is not a man of his word, because as far as the critics is concerned, throughout the campaign, Mr. Cummings referred to Joshua as being grossly incompetent to be a leader, to be president of Liberia. What we are also hearing is that Mr. Cummings is at the back, and his CPP officials, in fact, the executive committee of the CPP, are the one that made the decision, and not Mr. Cummings as an individual. But there are others who say that such a decision cannot be made if it will be made tomorrow. If Mr. Weah is endorsed tomorrow by the CPP, or to say you can leave Mr. Cummings out of that decision to endorse Mr. Weah. Now let's go to the next thing. The European Union. Before I get to that, Yaka Kolobar has been in the news for some days now. Quite recently, he made a statement that he was backing off from the United Party's campaign. In fact, he was named to be one of the campaign heads, and in fact, he turned that appointment. But a few hours ago, his summons sorted, and he said he wanted attention from Mr. Buaka and his party officials, that his efforts were not being acknowledged. And but now he's also happy again with the United Party. He has somersaulted, in fact, provided some reasonable number of motorbikes to empower the United Party campaign team to go into the Euro areas to campaign. His critics said Yeke Kolaba is also a guy who cannot be trusted. Even the people comparing him with Prince Johnson, who they say they are people of two tongues. They say thing today, they say another thing tomorrow. So the European Union Election Monitoring Commission here in Liberia is likely falling into trouble with the government of Liberia. Quite recently, the EU issued a statement claiming that the sitting government, President Weah and his government, the citizen government, have been using state resources to campaign across Liberia during the first round of voting. But again, the executive nation has responded or reacted to the EU mission, election observer mission, asking the mission to provide a shred of evidence if to convince the Liberian people to the world that Mr. Weir has used, or Mr. Weir and the CDC have used state resources to campaign. In fact, Solo Cabot, who is the press secretary of the president, was the one who spoke on behalf of President Weir in the executive mansion in his reaction to the EU observer mission. But the EU observer mission, election observer mission, has not up to now has not issued any statement in rebuttal to the executive mansion's challenge, challenging it to provide a shred of evidence to substantiate its claim. Derek, so far
Thank you
those are
very
elements.
thank you very much, Mr. Takbe. And just to piggyback on two of the current events you just gave. On the issue, CPP tomorrow, the executive committee will announce who CPP will be endorsing. So that press conference is scheduled for 12 p.m. Liberia time tomorrow. And also on the issue on the current event concerning Spoon former CEO Stanton Witherspoon, some of the information I have seen, it puts his sentence at 41 months. And he's also scheduled to surrender himself for service at the institution designated by the Bureau of Prisons before 12 p.m. on January 31st, 2024. Well, we will have our counselor on tonight to talk more on that, to clarify some of the information surrounding that development.
Okay, great.
But for now, let's have our panelists on the screen, and then we will introduce our special guest tonight, Mr. Sarkor. But for now, let's have our panelists on the screen, and then we will introduce Mr. Sarkor to our audience. Now, guys, if you're watching us, please do me a favor and share this program, and also make sure that you are following the network. That is the Liberia Radio and Television Network. Let me begin introducing our panelists for tonight. Beginning with you, Mr. Ja Winkin Weir. Welcome to episode 9, season 4 of The Horizon.
All right, Derek, thank you. Elizabeth, Grace, Reverend Addy, and David Monrovia. Welcome, guys.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Let's come to you, Mrs. Goa.
Thank you, Derek. It's nice to be here once more, and I would like to welcome all the panelists on and also the people watching. Thank you for watching. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's take you now, Mistress Collins. Welcome back, I should say.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me. It's been a while. I had a text schedule. My schedule could not permit me to be on Thursday, but I managed to show my face today at least. So I'm happy to be here. And hi, everyone.
Oh, we're doing good. It's good to have you again, Mrs. Collins.
Thank you.
Welcome, Reverend Addy, to another episode.
Greetings, everyone. Such a pleasure to be back once more. Greetings to all of you wonderful Liberians, esteemed panelists. God bless you.
Thank you very much, Reverend Addy. And guys, let's now welcome our special guest for tonight, the PA State Representative of District 185, Representative Aspirant of District 185, Mr. Joe Sarkor. Mr. Sarkor, welcome to the Horizon and welcome to the Liberia Radio and Television Network. These are my panelists, Reverend Addy, Mrs. Collins, Mrs. Goa, Mr. Weir, and my co-host, Mr. Takbe. So this is going to be a very brief interview. We will have our panelists ask you one question each, and I will ask you a question as well. But to begin, let me just give you the opportunity to introduce yourself and talk about your campaign to be the representative of District number 185, Pennsylvania.
Great. Can you hear me? Can you all hear me?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, very good. Well, first of all, good evening to all of you, great people of LRTN. Again, my name is Joseph Sarkor, originally from Liberia. I live in Southwest Philadelphia. I came in this country as a refugee from Liberia back in 1999. I was born and raised in Nimba County. Went to Baja High School. Then from there, I went to KRTTI Extension. From there to Zion Community College back in the late 1980s. Later, found myself in the in Guinea as a refugee. Worked with UNHCR. I was instrumental. I served as the head of the Refugee Student Organization back then in 1990s, an organization that was, credited for the establishment of more than 1,500 schools in the refugee during the refugee days. We also provided voluntary services to teach our young ones until the United Nations came in. From there, then I went to Danane, where I served as a repatriation assistant, repatriating Liberian refugees to Liberia, and from there to Giglo as a social services assistant, helping vulnerable cases to resettle them in the United States until 1999 when I was resettled myself to the United States. I currently serve as executive director of the Liberia Medical Mission, which is the nonprofit organization that takes medication and medical supplies to Liberia every other year. I am also the honorary delegate of Refugee Congress. That is a national advocacy organization based in Washington, D.C. I serve as honorary delegate for Pennsylvania and also the national chair for the Advocacy and Communication Committee. That organization comprises of individuals from 37 countries around the world. That includes Brazil, Liberia, Congo, you name them. Everywhere refugees and asylums came from around the world. Briefly, that's and finally, next year, I will be a candidate for a state representative, Legislative District 185, and that comprises, for those of you that are listening, that comprises from a Woodland Avenue, 57 to 67 Woodland Avenue, and that includes the Police District 12, and it extends to the International Airport of Philadelphia and beyond. So it's a big district with a population of 64,000 residents. I'll stop there so far for the benefit of the time. So that was my introduction. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And let me recognize the presence of Bishop Reeves. Bishop Reeves, thank you for joining us on the Heart Zone here for episode 9, season 4. Welcome to another episode.
Thank you.
Thank you. And back to you, Mr. Sakor. Let me ask you this question before I go over to my co-host. What made you want to run for this position?
That's a great question. Well, two things that really, fueled my passion. One is I want to run for this position because I want to represent and serve as a voice, as a strong voice for the voiceless. Our district is a diverse district with 35% white, 54% black, and the rest are Hispanic, Asians, and whatnot. I believe that I can be a person to unite all of these different demographics, as I have done before. I've worked in the district and I've interacted with these different demographics. We have had representatives that really focused on one set of people, and a large amount of immigrant, communities have been left out. So I want to run to represent the interests of all the residents of District 185, and I can unite them because I have done it before, all right, to provide a good service to all the people. I also want to run because I have seen the challenges and issues that I kind of visible in our community. The young people, the joblessness of the young people, the drug, the gun violence, and all of these things. So I want to go there and help solve some of these social vices that in the district. by working together with our community leaders and also, working across the aisle to make sure that we bring in sound legislations to address some of these issues in Pennsylvania.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sako. Mr. Tarkwell, let me hear from you. Do you have any question for our guest
Yeah,
tonight?
yeah. In our own country, Liberia, most of those who want to run for seats in the legislature, and even the presidency, sometimes they are petitioned by the citizens or people of the district. I'm wondering if something similar like that in the United States. You, Mr. Sacco, you've decided on your own to run. But what are the citizens? Have the citizens themselves or residents of that district or any group of residents of that district that will approach you, Mr. Saka? We think you can be a best representative for for us for this district. Can you tell about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I have, for the past years, since I have been serving our communities, the different communities in the district, I have seen people coming to me, repeatedly telling me that, well, I think you should run because we are seeing some potential in you that you may not be seeing in yourself. Your leadership style and the way your interpersonal skills, okay, are highly commendable. Okay, so we have seen you uniting people of different races, people of different backgrounds, and allow them to work together. You are the kind of person that we need in the district that is widely diverse. Okay, so now in terms of the process in the United States, okay, the Constitution says that 300 electors will have to, you have to collect 300 signatories in that district and filing that with the election board. The Pennsylvania State Department will review that along with the requisite agencies to make sure that you meet that requirement. Okay, and as a candidate, instead of 300, we will be submitting, we will quadruple that, meaning that we will submit about 1,200 signatories, and we are ready to do that. Okay, so that will come, and it's kind of the you cannot do that right now. That is done like probably about 13 or 12. I mean, yes, about 12 weeks to the election. Okay, 12 weeks to the election. All right. So hopefully by February, sometimes it's February, we'll be collecting those something. Yes, the we will need signatories, and the people for District 185 are more than happy to give me what is even required.
Okay,
Thank you.
finally, yeah, let me
Let's
ask you
let's
the question.
let's do
I understand.
Mr. Thacker, let's do one question for now because we'll have a lot of panelists. I will come back to you
Yeah,
if we
I
still
want
have.
you to talk about the medical mission in Liberia. I want for you to just talk a little bit what exactly it's all about.
Okay. Yeah, that question, and then let's get Mr. Score question. If you have any, you can just answer real quick.
Okay. You want me to talk about the medical mission or just a score question?
Let's hear from
Okay,
Mr. Score,
yeah.
and then you can answer both of them.
Hello, Mr. Sako. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. Thank you.
Well, you're welcome. I am very proud, to see a Liberian in the area like Philadelphia, trying to actually represent there, especially for the people, but not only Liberians, but for all the people combined, to represent them within the state. And I think that you are very strong to even do that. It's not an easy thing to be summoned by the people, as you're saying now, that they are call you to, represent them. And you can even quadruple the signatures that would be needed before you can put in your bid and everything if you have not put in your bid. So I know you are engaging all the sides, for this. Well, I mean, all the size means that not only Liberians, but the immigration, the immigrant community, and also the actual Americans. And I'm sure you are engaging them, because for you to run in America, you have to have all these people together accepting you to hold that position. So I just wanted to ask you, are you I want to know, because I'm a woman, as representative, if you are voted in, what will you really bring to the table for women in Philadelphia, especially women and children? I always push for that, because women and children are the most vulnerable in any society. So what are your, your right now, your little plans before you even get to where you are, that you have up for women and children in Philadelphia, as you are seeing that most of the women and children, especially in that area, they suffer, massively from drugs, and they're on steroids and doing a lot of things. Mothers leaving their children in the hospital. That area is very affected from that. So, what are your plans for those kind of things?
That's a very great question. Okay, let me first start with your question, important question. So basically, within our plan, let's talk about the what we're going to do for our women. First of all, as the next representative of District 185, I am going to be seeking for more funding for women. Majority of the residents in our district, majority of them are single women, right? And we know what they go through in terms of bringing up their children. They have to work, they have to provide food, they have to do everything. Okay, so one of the things that I'm going to be advocating for is that give them the child care subsidies, making sure that they have money to help them take their children to daycare, so that they will be able to at least work and provide, for them. Okay. The other thing that I will also advocate is the early childhood education, and make that free. Okay, in the state of Pennsylvania, right? Because research has shown that if you send a child to the early child, when the child starts education at that early on, chances are that they have a very strong foundation to move on. All right. Not everybody is fortunate enough to have money to send. Even you have to go through a whole lot of bottlenecks. We need to simplify that to allow our children to benefit from those, early childhood education. That's very important. All right. And in terms of our home ownership, okay, many of our residents, a lot of people renting and all of this stuff, but I also want to increase home ownership. Many of the people that I have come across something, many of them are women. Oh yes, I have 3 children. Sometimes we are renting from this place, and the homeowner is threatening to at least put us out. They would not renew our lease and all of these stuff. So, as part of the plan, economic plan, we will actually incentivize the first-time home buyers by giving them few thousand dollars of as a first-time home buyers, free of charge, as a grant, to help them pay for the make a down payment towards their homes. Okay, so, and rental rebate, the rental rebate. Right now, many of the people do not even know what it is, a rental rebate, but it's because the information is not being shared. We want to make sure that we increase that for our women and other residents, while giving priority to our women. So just a few of the things that we have, and you can also go online and check for the sake of time. In terms of our medical mission, we have been doing that for more than a decade, going to Liberia. I providing free medical services to Liberians, especially underserved communities. This year, I took a team of 35 nurses and doctors. All right, we brought them from. We got doctors from UK, from Australia, from the state, and we also brought some volunteers from the sub-region, Nigeria and Ghana and Guinea. They all join us in Liberia. Okay, we were able to at least give a site to more than 126 people, many of whom were bilaterally blind, meaning that they couldn't see at all. Some of them had spent about 7 to 10 years. They had not seen anything. Okay, so we brought in the medication, we brought in the expertise, provided those gifts to a Liberian free of charge, and we have been doing that for the past year, more than 10 years. We're in Ganta. We're also at 14 military barrack. Apart from that, that was the ICE, because our program consists of 3 major components. The I is there, the mental health, and the general medicine. So we partner with an organization based in Baltimore that is specialized in wellness recovery program. Okay, so they volunteered to go with us this year to Liberia, and we were able to at least train more than 80 people. Many of these volunteers came from different agencies, government agencies, and civic organizations. They were representative from DEA, they were representative from gender ministry, they were representative from LBS, and all the different agencies and local organizations that you could think of. They were trained and they were certificated. We visited also people, different clinics in Monrovia and its environment, people with chronic diabetes, people that had hypertension. We carry more than $3 million worth of medications and medical supplies. We give them enough medication for their high blood pressure, and we serve more than 2,500 individuals all around, okay, Liberia. And we also donated medication to a lot of clinics in Monrovia and outside of Monrovia. So these are some of the things that we have been doing, and we partnered. We paired the local nurses and doctors with our visiting doctors and other folks, so that they could learn, exchange of knowledge. Okay, and that has been working. Okay, so this is what we have been doing, and our Liberia Medical Mission is self-funded. Group of Liberians felt the need that we need to help Liberia since the Ebola. We have been going, pay our own way, and also subsidize our own mission every other year to go and give back to the country. So that's what we have been doing with Liberia Medical Mission. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sako. And before I come to you, Mr. Weir and Reverend Addy, let me respond to one of the commenters asked if we have a number to call in. No, we do not have that yet, but if you want to contribute to this program, you can leave your contribution in the comment section and we'll make sure to highlight it on the show. But let me hear from you now, Mr. Weir, and then right after you will take Reverend Addy question for our special guest. You're muted.
Mr. Weir is muted.
Yeah, he's waiting for the production team to unmute him. Go ahead.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Sako. That is very aspiring to see that at least other people did it here, other people from other countries did it and contested for positions. Right now we have one Liberian who is a mayor here in South Dakota, and I wish you the best of luck. So to serve as an example to encourage other Liberians that politics is not all about Liberia. But my only thing I wanted to know is I don't know, or even though you explain a lot of stuff that you engage with in terms of activities, or I don't know whether you already talk about maybe your educational background of that sort. So I was just a little bit interested to know what is your areas of expertise.
And let's hear from Reverend Addy, and then Mr. Sako can respond to both questions or comments.
Mr. Sako, let me first of all congratulate you on the audacity to put your hat in this race for the greater good of the state. You mentioned that you intend to address the issue of gun violence. Are you aware of the statistics of individuals who die by gun violence in the state of Pennsylvania?
Thank you very much, Reverend Adi. Mr. Sako.
Okay.
No, I wasn't finished.
Oh, you were, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go right ahead.
Mr. Sako, are you aware of that statistics? All right, so let me just continue.
Yeah.
So 1,600 people die each year from gun violence. On a national average, 48,000 plus people die from gun violence, and 54% of that reality is death by suicide using guns. In Pennsylvania, there's a law called the Preemption Law, established in 1972, which allowed the states and judges to prevent local districts that you're running in from implementing law consistent with the plight or prevalence of gun violence in the areas. What is your specific plan to reverse this law affecting the lives of your people that you want to serve? Thank you.
Great question. Let me first start with Brother Weir's question regarding my educational background. But first, I hold a dual bachelor's in management information systems and international business, and a dual master's in public administration and management information systems. With a long period of civic organizational leadership, as well as nonprofit, and having participated in student governments and here and there. So with those complexities of solving issues in the community and being a community organizer and a leader, those experiences have fully prepared me to represent the good people of District 185. In terms of the gun violence, which is a top of my priority, yeah, I definitely agree. We have loopholes in the current legislation. My goal is to go and review that. And if one hand can clap, then you'll say, well, one person can actually, take on the issue of gun violence, because you have some of the most formidable and powerful lobbyists when it comes to gun regulation. NRA, we all know, they will do everything possible to stop any legislation from going forward because they're powerful. All right. So one thing that's going to actually distinguish me from other legislators in terms of propounding gun legislation is that of consistency, and by bringing individuals in our community that have been impacted to kind of appear in front of various committees and explain their plight, in real time. So like for instance, just to give you, I'm just going to filter this thing down to my district. In 2020, about 50 gun incidents in 2020. All right. Out of that 50 in District 185, there were 10 deaths. Okay. Out of those 10 deaths, there were almost about 4 female and 6 male. And guess what? With all the things that, all the technology that we have, is only, so 1 out of that 10 fatalities, all right, were able to be solved. 9 up to now. So now, this year alone, 2023, from January up to now, about 19 in the district, 19 gun incidents in the District 185. Out of that 19, about 5 fatalities. Okay. But one thing is that probably lacking is that of community approach. You can formulate all of these legislation, but you need to have the community involved in addressing the issues. Okay, community-based approach, which is very important. So as a legislator, I want to involve the people so that the first thing is to come out with a focus group in the district or in Pennsylvania. Have some more discussions in the various communities. What do you think should we do in order to curtail, this gun violence? Because our mothers, our children cannot even walk to the park. No one is safe. No one is safe. Even in your home, you're not safe. As a result of the proliferation of illegal guns everywhere. So we need to revise the current laws regarding the current gun laws, and make sure that we tighten screws on some areas. Stricter guns, high capacity magazines. You don't need that. You only need that, in a war zone. So these are things that we need to look at. And we also want to make sure that there's a mandatory reporting, periodic mandatory reporting of guns by the owners. Because sometimes your gun will be stolen, you don't know. Okay, someone can burglarize your house and take your gun. But with that in place, at least you know whether your gun is safe. Okay, whether you still have your gun. Because some people they don't need a gun for 2 or 3 months or even 6 months. They're not using it. But if one of the children picks up the gun, and then they go out, they having it, you don't know. So every month or on a quarterly basis, we want to make sure that check your gun and say yes. It's like I've been in the class. Hey, teacher calls your name, say I'm present. Okay. So there are certain things that I, as a legislator, by working with my colleagues on the other side, to make sure that at least those things are in place.
Derek is muted.
Oh. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Saka. Now let's hear from you, Mrs. Collins, and then Bishop Reeves. But let's start with you, Mrs. Collins.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Hi, Mr. Saka. How are you?
I'm well.
Next year I will be calling you honorable, but I can call you honorable now. Councilman, right? Am I right?
No, next year, God's willing, you'll be calling me a representative.
Representative, okay.
Yes,
okay.
Yes.
That's good. First, I want to commend you for the courage and the braveness to be able to participate in politics in the United States. Being an immigrant coming to America, and there's a lot of things against you, but you decided, even though people petition you or people encourage you to run, but still you have to decide for yourself, because you are the one that is going to be running, and you had that courage, to say, you know what, I can do this. And more so in one of the toughest neighborhoods, in our community. My question to you is, how are you going to tackle all the challenges, all the bottlenecks, from child care to gun violence, poor neighborhood community, discrimination? Because don't forget, remember, people will come at you. That man is an African man. Who is he to come here and he won't come call the shot for us? What are some of the challenges, those challenges that you will have? How are you going to come back then?
Thank you very much. Let me hear from you, Bishop Reeves, before I go to Mr. Saka.
Okay. Mrs. Saka, you are welcome. We want to thank God for your ambition. Um, One thing I would like to say is that you will have a lot on your plate going forward, and you will need to really have your skills for organizing people really sharpened because all of this call for organizing, and it's not going to be either or. It's not going to be gun violence, and then you have to tackle children. No, it will have to be everything together. You have to put your plans together to do all of that. Now, another thing I would like to also say to you, it has to do with in dealing with crime, the vices we're talking about. I also want to suggest that once you receive this position, I will want you to also encourage people for self-defense. You know, the young people and people who can engage in self-defense because let's be honest. We are talking about gun violence, and you did talk about lobbyists who will not want people to not have guns. So it's a difficult path. So in tackling it, I will also want to advise that you engage in community self-defense where people can do different classes, the young people can get engaged. And I believe that the more you engage your community in these different things, people will respond to you. They will respond to you. I'm not asking you a specific question. I'm just giving you some advice because I know that the people have asked a lot of the questions. Um, I just wanted to encourage you in these areas that organizing in America is one of the best way you can go. You got to organize the people. You got to keep the people engaged. If you want to do anything in your community, you want to do anything, you have to keep the people engaged. So that's my own advice to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Before you answer that, let me recognize the presence of our Councilor Freeman. Councilor Freeman, welcome to episode 9, season 4 of the Hard Zone.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sako.
Excellent. Yes, I definitely agree. Let me first address the question from our dear sister, Mrs. Collins. I am cognizant of the fact that, God's willing, when I take an oath to represent the people of 185, I will be getting there with so many challenges. And those challenges, I see them because I've lived them. I live with the people. Okay. The good thing that, about even from the start of our campaign, this is, I consider from the time I have been part of a campaign since 2004, since I've been in this country, this is going to be one of the most inclusive and most diversified campaigns where we have people from a different community. The Hispanic community, we have supporters from the Ethiopians, from the Malians, from the Ghanaians, every immigrant community, from the Jamaicans. So we have reached out to everyone, from the Caucasians, from every part, African American community, everywhere. Okay, to kind of bring them together, and this is why our slogan is one community, one people, regardless of your background. We all belong to District 185. What affects one affects all. All right, that is the mentality, and that is the message that we are now propagating. All right. So in order to tackle those something, definitely it requires collaborative efforts. And most of these things requires comprehensive and multifaceted strategies. You cannot do that alone until you collaborate with all the stakeholders, bringing them together, Okay, hearing from them, organizing. I totally agree. You have to organize, reach out to the people, and hear from them because the solution that you want to provide will affect them. So, in so doing, you want to make sure that they are part and parcel of that. You get their input. They're part and parcel of that decision making process. So, at the end, whatever decision that emerges as a consequence of that is going to be welcome. All right. And this is exactly what we intend to do. We'll have a quarterly meeting. We'll move from one community to one community. Anybody who knows me, my leadership style for more than 30 years and all of these stuff, this is exactly what I do. I make sure that I reach out to everyone, get people's input. After all of that, I synthesize it, analyze it, then I come out and say, well, hey, this is because after all, you are representing people. You're not representing yourself. So you got to make sure that all of the people have input in what in what is going to affect them. So, but I really appreciate those candid suggestions, and I can assure you that this is exactly what I intend to lead the people of District 185.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sarkor. And Councilor Freeman, I know you just joined us, but do you have any question or comment for our guest tonight?
No, not at all. I mean, of course, I came at the tail end of it, so.
Right.
But I just want to commend you for the effort, Mr. Sarkor. I think it's a great initiative, and I wish you good luck.
Thank you. And Mr. Sarkor, before I give you the opportunity to give us a closing remark here on the Hard Zone, I have 3 questions that I will just combine in one and you can address them. Now, first is about the race. Can you talk to us about the race, the race for the representative of PA District 185, who your opponents are, and how do you set it? How are you different from them? And also about immigrants that are just like you, or that are where you were a couple of years ago, that will want to be run for public office here in America, but they have that fear that they're immigrants. What message will you have for them to inspire them so that they can pursue their goals? And the last thing I want to talk, I would like to ask you about is on voters' education. I know most Liberians are reluctant to turn out to the polls and make their voices heard because those that are eligible to vote. What message do you have for them to encourage them to go to the poll on elections day and casting their vote for their desired candidates?
Excellent. Thank you, sir. I think those questions are very, very good. I love them. One, I just want to talk a little bit about my opponent. Personally, I like her as an individual. She smiles all the time. She's a great Christian. All right. But, as she asked me 2 weeks ago when I met her, "Oh, Mrs. Sarkor, what did I do to you? You want to run against me?" My simple response was that I am not running against you, but I am running for the office. I am exercising my constitutional duty as a U.S. citizen and as a resident of Pennsylvania. All right. Because the Constitution of Pennsylvania states that every 2 years, the seat that you are occupying, that becomes available for any qualified Pennsylvanian to vie for that as long as they meet all the requirements. So it's not a permanent position. So I am going into this as what we politically term as an underdog. All right. Someone who's not known, an unknown figure in the political arena. Someone people got to know in my humanitarian mission and all of this stuff in the district. Right. But I'm going there with the backing of for the residents of District 185 individuals have been disenchanted with their elected officials. People that have come to them several times with broken promises, as soon as they give them their vote, they turn their back on them. So, out of the 44,000 human, voting population, there's 64,000, but 44.4 thousand people are eligible to vote. But on average, for more than a decade now, okay, on average, there's only between 15 to 20,000 people always casting their vote. Why? And it's because of that why that actually one of the inspirations for me to run, to go and say to those disenchanted residents to say, I've heard your pain, I've heard your voice, but I am going to be different. I've lived with you, I have worked with you, you know me, and I'm going to be the same person that you have known for all those years. I will be with you in times of goodness, in terms of bad times and good times. So, and this is where I come in, because I am able to at least to reach out, whether you're white, whether you're black, whether you're Hispanic, I'm able to reach out to all of them. Okay, so that's the difference between me and my opponent, and my consistency and empathy that I bring as a former refugee from Liberia, the diversity that I bring on the table, and the different perspective. Regarding the inspiration, one thing that I have gotten to know is that there was a huge appetite for strong representation in the immigrant community. When I first reached out to the Ethiopian community, the president of the Ethiopian community looked at me and said, Brother Sako, I thank you enough. I can't thank you enough, because for the past 53 years I have been in this country, and I have been in Southwest Philadelphia. This has been my dream, to see someone who will represent, because this is a representative democracy, to see someone who will share my culture, to see someone who will represent not only the immigrant community, but to represent everyone, that can relate to everyone. I'm very happy. And your candidacy is welcome. And that goes to all other immigrant communities, and even not even immigrant community, other communities. So my advice to all of it, you have to try. I'm a little bit skeptical of myself too. Sometimes when I think of myself, oh my God, is this the place, especially in American politics? But others have done it. The Somalis have done it. The Nigerians have done it. Other people in other states have done it. Why not Pennsylvania? That is very, very critical. So I just said, well, you know what? You never try, you never know. Okay, I've never been a politician. I did not look for politics, but politics looked for me because of the challenges and issues that I have identified in that district. And that inspired me to get into the race. My advice to you, ladies and gentlemen, look, the worst thing that you're gonna face is that people are gonna say, "Oh yeah, you have a deep accent," which of course I go around and say, "Oh yeah, what the hell you think you are? You came from Africa. Why you can't go to Africa and run there?" So I'm like, okay, yes, this is the place that needs me most. Okay, I'm glad that I have an accent. I have a deep African and Liberian accent, yes, but that accent does not affect here the knowledge in the brain to at least make things better for the residents of District 185. So I am encouraging everyone. This is going to be a movement that will reverberate every corner of Pennsylvania and beyond. That the time has come for us to wake up and be represented. In terms of voter education, which is very important, a lot of time when I talk to politicians, they say, "Oh no, we don't come to the immigrant community. We don't come to the African community because of why?" Oh no, if you look at the statistics, we can go into a van and check. You'll see that no, they don't vote. It's better to go to the Cambodian, to the Bhutanese, and all of these stuff. Okay, and especially, I don't know, in politics, you have to invest your time and money for politicians to take you seriously. And that's the time they allocate resources that they are looking for they'll make sure they allocate to your community. So we do not have to sit down. We are citizens. We cannot just use our citizenship for traveling or to get benefit. No, we need to vote. And that's the only time our politician will take us seriously. So my advice to the people is that I'm one of you, and I am running. We need to encourage one another. Okay, we need to encourage one another. I may not be able to pick up a phone to call everyone, every individual from Liberia, from Guinea, from Sierra Leone, from all the other places. But the moment that you hear that, hey, Joseph Sacco, I'm a Liberian, do not say, well, no, this is a Liberian thing, or this is a Southwest Africa, West African thing. No, let's come together as one people to support my candidacy, because it will open a lot of opportunities for our for every community members. Okay, again, I am the voter education. We will be reaching out to the mosques, to the churches, and I will be at the Woodland area and every part of the district to educate our people why there's a need for us to vote. Why is it needed? This is going to be our first time, and we must get it right. So we'll be doing that education. We'll go to the churches. We'll sit down. We'll set up a table, and I will ask the imams and the pastors to give at least 1 or 2 minutes to educate our people. And I will do a massive voter registration, because I've seen that many of people, they are not even registered. In the last 2 weeks, I've identified more than 300 people that have not registered. They are citizens. Could you imagine? That can cost someone an election. Just that 300 people that we have just identified. 300 people. That's a lot of number. So again, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity tonight. It has been truly a pleasure. And to all of our great panelists, I know you had other things to do tonight, other great things tonight, but you have taken off this quality time from your families, from your loved ones. Okay, tomorrow is another work day. You could be even relaxing, but you took off at least to come and listen to me and to be part of this panel discussion. I want to say thank you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. My candidacy, I am in this race because of all of you. I am in this something to represent everyone. So let's get the message out there. We have our website, www.joesaccoforpa.com, and go and donate. We have a donate button, whether it's a $5. People, the Democrats now going to endorse me because I am running against an incumbent. I'm running as a Democrat, and I'm running against an incumbent. And that primary is April. So it is left with all of us, because the prize goes to all of us, not one individual, but all of us. So I am asking you, let's spread the words. Let them follow us on Facebook, Joe Sacco for PA, and encourage people to come out and vote. So on that note, I just want to say a big thank you. My platform are 5 pillars. I are on my website. And if you also have a good suggestion, please do not hesitate. Inbox me or email me. Say, look, my brother, I think you should include this thing. Then we'll review it. But Tien and I will review it. Because guess what? If I succeed, you have succeeded. Okay? So again, team, you guys have done a wonderful job. I really enjoyed it. And, I look forward to having such a discussion in the near future. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sacco. Thank you for speaking with us here on the Horizon, for sharing your story. And guys, to those of you that are watching us, this is Mr. Sacco, who will be running as a representative for PA District 185. Again, Mr. Sacco, thank you for your appearance here tonight, and we hope this will not be your last time here on the Horizon. But for now, guys, let's take a very brief break. When we come back, we will get right into our discussions involving the case Stanton versus the United States of America, and we'll have our counselor here to talk to us on that. And also we'll go back over to our co-host to give us the reactions from that development today. But for now, let's take a brief break.
maintaining your vehicle can be a major investment. That's why here at Brothers Auto Care, we pride ourselves on providing professional and reliable auto care at affordable rates. Whether you need an inspection, new brakes, or diagnostic reports, our skillful and experienced mechanics are here for you every step of the way. Call Brothers Auto Care now to schedule your next auto maintenance and repair service. At Brothers Auto Care, we help you drive home with peace of mind.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back here on the Liberia Radio and Television Network, and welcome to episode 9 of season 4 of the Horizon. And I have with me my co-host, Mr. Tapway, and a team of panelists, Mr. Weird, Mr. Goad, Reverend Addy, and we have our Councilor Freeman who would join us again shortly. And guys, let's get right into the discussion on one of Liberia most listened to or most watched talk show. That is the Spoon, the host of the Spoon Talk, or the former CEO of the Spoon Network. His sentencing today. So let me go over now to you, David, and then we'll have our panelists talk about that briefly. But before that, we'll have our counselor talk to give us what he knows about that case. But you talk about it briefly in the current event, David. So let me come back to you so you can give us what are you hearing about that development today from Liberia, and then Mr. Freeman will talk to us about the case.
Yeah, quite frankly, the sentence has drawn a lot of attention. In fact, many people expected this ever since, most especially those who think that Witherspoon has been critical of them, particularly the ruling people from the end of the ruling CDC. They have been feeling that, in fact, the Spoon Network in recent times has been leaning on the side of the main opposition Unity Party. You know, it's always in the constant habit. The Spoon Network is always in a constant habit of raising issues or disparaging, like talking about the chances of Mr. Weah or Mr. Weah himself. And as a result of his Spoon Talk, he was narrowing the chances of Mr. Weah in terms of the presidency. So many citizens or supporters of the ruling CDC or Mr. Weah have not been comfortable with Mr. Witherspoon and the Spoon Network, and have been wishing him the worst would happen, most especially his sentencing. And so this did not come as a surprise to many from the side. In fact, if you follow some of the social media comments, you're criminal, you'll soon go to jail, and wish you are in jail now, you get rotten in jail. And these are some of the comments. For the side of the Unity Party, that the CDC sees that the CDC as the beneficiary of the Spoon Network, they are in sympathy with him, that finally he has been sentenced. And many of them are now commenting that they are in prayers with him and hope that the best will happen in his favor. But on the overall, there are mixed feelings in the public domain. There are many people. Stanton Witherspoon has a lot of admirers in Liberia. I don't know other parts of the world. It's the most popular network to admit that every evening, wherever you pass, all communities, in fact, early in the morning at the intellectual centers, people that are talking about discussions that were held on Spoon Talk on the Spoon Network. And so Stanton Witherspoon is his name is a hustle name in Liberia. And so his calamity is a concern to people who admire him, and it's also has also brought joy to those who feel that he was negatively or disparagingly talking about their side of the political divide.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
that-
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Tanko. Before I bring this over to you panelists, in summary, what David just said, because I've been following this development as well on Facebook. One side is celebrating the case with Stanton or his sentencing, and the other side they are sending prayers, and they're saying he was a good man. He helped a lot of people, but some are saying that is because he affiliated with their political institution, and some are saying he should rot in jail because he opposed their political institution. They feel like he cost them the elections. But that is why I want for you guys to give me your position on. But before I do that, let me come to you, Councilor Freeman, so you can erect some legal checkpoints here. Give us your knowledge on this case. And there's something I want you to clarify because a journalist from Spoon Network, Mr. Gude Flomo, actually made a Facebook post today where he said that Stanton wasn't sentenced. Instead, the sentencing will be next year for the 31st. So I want you to clarify that information on here, and also talk to us about what you know about the case.
Thank you. In full disclosure, I have not ever watched the Spoon Network. Same thing can be said for a lot of the other networks around. I just don't watch them. But I'm aware of some of the facts of his case because, of course, as you scroll on Facebook, it's there. You get to see it. Mr. Witherspoon pled guilty to a single charge pursuant to 18 U.S.C. He pled guilty to conspiracy to wire fraud, among other things, right? And as a result of that guilty plea, the court, they didn't have to go through any trial. There was not a trial here because he took a plea, but took a guilty plea. And the sentencing was actually held today. I know I've seen a few posts up and down on social media that he was not sentenced today. In fact, I'm a licensed attorney with the federal courts, so I was able to actually access directly his case file. I went into the federal database and I accessed the case file, so I, read everything. So Mr. Witherspoon today's docket shows that he was actually sentenced today. Today's docket also shows that a judgment was entered today. So I know I've seen the post out there that the sentencing was postponed to January 31st. That's not what is happening. What has happened is that he was sentenced today. What happened though, with regards to the January 31st time frame, oftentimes it's not uncommon for someone to be sentenced and then the date to appear for service of that sentence is sometime down the line. What happened is that the court take into consideration that person's life. In this case, Mr. Witherspoon has a family, he has children. The holiday is coming. They want him to get his house together. So even though he was sentenced today, but there's an order there, and I have the order before me here, where the court essentially says he has to turn himself in by 12 noon, January 31st, to the prison authority. So yes, he was sentenced today, but he will be turning himself in effectively January 31st as about 12 p.m.
Thank you very much, Councilor Freeman. Now let's go to our panelists to speak on the mixed reactions coming out of Liberia for the sentencing of one of the most listened to talk show, the host of one of the most listened to talk show, the Spoon Talk, and the former CEO of the Spoon Network. Let me first hear from you, Mr. Ja Winkin. Talk to us about the mixed reaction.
Ja Winkin is muted. I'm not hearing him.
Are you hearing me now?
Yes.
Okay. So myself, even though I was working today and I got a call from Liberia about what was happening here, and I told the person that I was working, and he said, "Well, everything is on social media, or this guy has been sent into prison in the United States." I said, "Well, this is America. I know whatever happened, how long the case goes, there will be a decision." So I don't really have side, but in the United States, I'm not a lawyer, but those of many people that know about plea agreement, I think there were a lot of negotiation. Even somebody told me that I don't know how true it was, that some of the money was restituted or prior to this decision today, or that was in question about 3 million or something like that. But I don't have clue about that. So, but that is what I was told prior to the decision of today. But whatever it is in Liberia politics or for journalism right now in Liberia, talk show, this and that, there is no question. His decision is the most watched, listened to. So it has impact. Everybody will say something. I believe that if you were for Boakai, I mean, if you were for George Weah, they will be defending him too. So this is politics time. And the last time Costa was chastised, but right now because he's with Weah, other people in CDC are praising him. So that is the situation in Liberia. This is political time. But again, I'm not a lawyer. Probably like even the time they gave me, if he exhibit a good character, he may serve me less of time. I think I'm not a judge. I'm not a lawyer. So I mean, he's a Liberian, and whatever is the situation, he is the fact that he has an institution that helping Liberia, is helping Liberia. In spite of that, those are working for Spoon. I guess they're getting paid, and they are helping other Liberians. So I think the law has taken the coast. That's all I can say.
Thank you very much, Mr. Weah. And I forgot to start the timer on you, so you had a free pass. But let me now come to you, Bishop Reeves. I want you to address something very specific. I know we've been getting mixed reactions out of this, and I want you to speak to the people that have been celebrating him. Liberia has a tendency. I know you have spoken to that reality where we celebrate criminal. And Stanton Witherspoon has been sentenced to 41 months in prison, and there are some who are actually celebrating him and saying that, he did a lot of good things for people and he should be celebrated, and he impacted a lot of people, but failing to realize that he is a convicted criminal regardless of how you look at it. How do you respond to that, Bishop Reeves?
Well, to be quite honest with you, I frown on such things because Liberia, and not only Liberia, but Africa in general, have a track record of celebrating criminals. Africa in general. So then let's come back to Liberia. We have a track record of this, and it's wrong. Let's be very, very honest. We have a track record. There's so many people in our society who have committed crimes and they've done evil things. We still keep them around us in the name of, well, it's okay, let's all do this. Okay, it's okay. So our laws, we have very good laws in the book, but we cannot enforce the laws. We're not enforcing our laws. You see, so having people now having mixed reaction, it's not strange, regardless of what party we are talking about. It is a track record of us to celebrate people who commit crimes. And it's very sad that we need to change our mindset about that. Because if we don't, it will affect our children. It will affect our future. Because our children will think that it's okay, because the person is doing something for the community, because they're doing something. So I mean, it's okay, just leave them. No, wrong is wrong, right is right. Regardless, if I'm caught doing something I'm not supposed to do, the law will take its course. The law will take its course. So I don't also think it's about any party politics business, because somebody rightly said, had Mr. Spoon supported the CDC, the CDC people will be saying something different today. Whatever party he has supported, they will be also saying something to back him up. But because that is the track record of us in Liberia, we
Thank
need to
you.
change that, and so that our future can be, what it ought to be.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
very much. Thank you very much, Bishop Reeves. Now let's hear from you, Reverend Adi. Talk to us about the former CEO of Spawn Network sentencing today.
Well, certainly the facts are out there. It's 41 months, and it's been reported that he walked into the court with $3.5 million in restitution. But I just want to provide some clarification here. Nobody's celebrating the crimes of Mr. Stanton Peabody. I mean, Stanton Witherspoon. That is a clear misrepresentation. He has received an overwhelming support of individuals within the law who wrote letter asking for mercy, leniency. That was not a celebration of his crimes, that he put people at risk. That is a clear misrepresentation. Now, we certainly understand that he has been a voice in our political quest for the presidency. It's clear that he's made his platform available to everybody. Almost every political party had an opportunity to participate. It's rather unfortunate that members of the CDC are the ones celebrating his conviction, and some members of the ANC are the ones celebrating his conviction, simply because perhaps his political views did not line up to their support. So nobody celebrated his crimes other than those who celebrated his convictions. So that's a clear misrepresentation that I just want to correct here tonight. So go look at the comments on Facebook. Read everything if you can. The only people celebrating are some members of the ANC and the CDC. Unity Party members do not celebrate the committing of crimes by Mr. Witherspoon. But yes, Unity Party members certainly have some sympathy and express that sympathy by virtue of suggesting or writing letters to request leniency, which is within the American law. Thank you.
Thank you. And I would like to ask you this question from our comment from our live feed. But before I do that, I would like to remind you that Stanton did admit to, I'd like to point this out, I mean, he did admit on his platform recently of contributing the amount of $60,000 to help pay for Unity Party and party headquarters. How true that is, I don't know, but Stanton did admit to that. Now, my question here from one of our viewers is, what's your view on a federal criminal alignment with the party you support, with that being the Unity Party?
So, well, that viewer needs to ask himself, quite frankly, what party does he support? And we can certainly reflect on whether or not there are criminals within the party he supports. So let's be clear. The people who are running in politics, they're not saints. They're individuals who themselves have enjoyed the grace of God, not because there are some folks who have not been exposed to the publicity of crimes or being caught, but they know themselves. So if you are with the CDC, why do we want to change CDC? Why Mr. Cummings asked that we give CDC a red card? Do you know what Mr. Cummings stated very clearly? These were his comments. This government is irredeemably corrupt, dangerously incompetent, unchangeably irresponsible. So if that is an ANC person asking, or a sedition asking, then he or she needs to ask himself, am I associating with a party that I've just endorsed, that its political leader stated it's dangerously incompetent, irredeemably corrupt, and unchangeably irresponsible?
It's possible too that commenter may be a Unity Party supporter.
Well, guilt by association is a clear reflection that we do not live in a utopian society. Mr. Stanton Witherspoon happens to be a Liberian, and he deserves the right to have a political view. But let's examine all of the political parties And I would tell you who are those that are publicly known for corruption and why you associate with them.
Thank you very much, Reverend
Yeah,
Andy.
Derek, I'd like to ask Mr. Freeman a question.
Let me hear from Mrs. Goa, and then I'll give you the opportunity to do so. Mrs. Goa.
Okay, thank you very much, Derek. You know, when I see people gallivanting on social media about this case, it shows me that, you know, Liberians are very better driven. So they accept people who will do fraudulent acts and use the money and come and service them with the money. So once you do that, they don't, regardless of what you did, what fraud you committed, what you stole, who you killed for it, they do not care. All they care about, once you can use that money to support them, majority of them will follow you. I bet after Stanton served his 5 years or whatever years he has here and do his because I think after he goes to prison and he gets out, he's supposed to be on another civilians for a while. I don't know. I think they call it some kind of way. The lawyer can say that.
Probation.
But he does that and he goes back to I think he was doing community service or something.
Potentially,
Mr. Freeman?
Yeah, potentially. He'll be on probation for 3 years.
He will be on probation for 3 years.
Probation, yeah.
So after he does that, he goes to Liberia and he's gonna, maybe he might probably run for senator. Liberians will vote for him because that's the kind of way that we pacify these kind of things, which is very, very wrong. You forget to know that the people that were affected by this thing, some people die in this process. In America, yet the court system is not making a big deal of it because they don't want a lot of lawsuits. I bet that. But the level of the fraudulent activity that went on the bill of this school, I think Mr. Witherspoon was serving, it's a huge deal. It's a huge deal. We will not even know the length and the weight of how this thing affected a lot of people in this country. But you know, Liberians, they will always support what they want to support. And right now, they're saying that, oh, he served Liberia and his platform was used for Liberia. This man is biased. He sits on his platform and he pick a party. His platform is made for a particular party, the people he will service at that time or who he wants to be supporting. He will support them on the platform. He bring other people, tear them down, talk bad about them, destroy their reputation, although they are very highly educated than him, highly, or respected than him, but he will bring them down because he built that platform with stolen money. And he gave stolen money to people, so everybody will be there sucking up to him on that point. And it pisses me off. But most time Liberians they don't know that the level for him to even have gotten a lesser sentence than that, he must have given up everything he has. I mean, he has stolen the ones he actually worked for. They stripped him down to nothing. Like Brendan he was stripped down to nothing. So that's why he was able to be given that kind of lesser sentence. And it doesn't change the fact that he will remain a criminal. Everywhere he goes to apply, he remains a criminal in America. And Liberia will accept that because that's the kind of culture we live in. And it's very sad to see people thinking that this is a celebration when other people are just seeing the fact that what happened was wrong. We don't want these kind of things in our society. Our children cannot see this and say, oh, it's acceptable because he supports a party that I support. It doesn't make any sense to me. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Before I come to you, David, because I have a question for Councillor Freeman as well, let me hear from Mr. Jai Winkin-Weir.
Yes, what I wanted to say is that, look, right now, let's say, because I saw the comment, we are talking about lead costs, something here, even Liberia. Today, I mean, Liberia all the time, those that are supporting CDC, if you talk about the stealing of the money, what they tell you, because it is okay, the money is spent here. That does not make it okay. But at least in this case, this man was judged. It's not my decision. He went to court, but nobody has ever gone to court. All the justification they give in Liberia is that, oh, because I told them that it's wrong for a president, any president for that matter, to go to any community and do their money. That is not their job. But that's what we do. Once you are empowering government in Liberia, you use your offices to grab money and resources that high has been. So this guy, he committed a crime, he went to court. At least in America, if he were to do this in Liberia, there was going to be no rule of law. So I am not backing his crime. What I'm saying is that whether you like him or not, he has the higher listening public in Liberia. For those of you, he didn't say he's a journalist, he's an opinion host. It is done here too in the United States, Fox News, and other places. So he takes side. He's not claiming to be a journalist. He's a host, which is also done in the West. So it's no different.
Yeah, let me stay with you before I go to let me stay with you, Mr. Weir. Now, on the issue of Unity Party, the party that your party just endorsed, or seeking some financial support from him, knowing fully well that he was indicted on those charges. What do you think about that?
Here's what I have to say. Right now, the CDC is using the Liberian people money. That is not clean money. People don't get paid.
I asked about Unity Party.
Yeah, I know where you're coming from. Nobody asks anybody in Liberia where you get your money from when you are supporting them. So yes, I'm not a spokesperson for Unity Party, but what I'm saying here is that CDC is using the money of the Liberian people that is stealing money. The people are not taking pay. Why are they not talking about that? Rather than focusing on yes.
I'm sorry for interrupting. I'm trying to understand your view here. So because CDC stealing money, so it's okay for Unity Party?
No, it is not okay. I just told you.
All right, help me understand.
Because he stole money, so you want to quote. He was adjudged guilty and was sentenced.
So Mr. Weir is just saying once it's on one side, it should be on the other side, and that's
right. That's what I'm saying.
But this has not changed. You can't be saying wrong is one side, and then when something else is wrong on the other side, because you support that side, you say, "Oh no, it's not wrong. It's happening on this side." So you happy with that side.
Let's just go and let's protect Mr. Weir so he can help us understand his view.
I have no proof, or I haven't been part of any Unity Party or whatsoever. But what I am telling you is this: that does not make any difference at this time. This man committed a crime and was judged guilty, and he's going to face a penalty. That's the issue here.
Would you condemn Unity Party for seeking financial support from an indicted criminal?
Well, I can't condemn an indicted criminal because what you are saying is that he was accused you were accused then.
Yeah, that's why I said indicted. I didn't say convicted.
He was accused then.
Typical.
So and I don't have the proof. Well, I can't. That's what I just said.
So Derek, you understand now the point that we have been stressing. You understand the point that Ms. Guer just gave us. I don't know how many people listened to what she just said. Okay, it's the issue of us across the board, Africa. Anytime people commit crime, we accept them. We take them. We don't look at what the implication is going to be for our children and our future.
I am not accepting the crime he committed.
I will give you guys enough time to do the rebuttal, but let's hear Mr. type of question to Councilor Freeman.
Yeah, okay. Before I ask Mr. Freeman the question, Bishop Reed just said something like across the board, what happened in all African. But quite recently, Sierra Leone set an example after during the elections, or after Madabio won the elections in Sierra Leone. Those who they see as committing crimes were not allowed. They were even barred from taking part in this elections until they faced the law. So that it was a good example for Africans. So the categorization of all Africans, of letting people who commit crimes go with impunity, not necessarily a certain example. And I hope that all Africans will follow that.
That's a good one.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
I just wanted to, check that.
Yeah, that's a good one.
So Councilor Freeman. Stanton now has been sentenced, and now we just heard Mr. Ade, or Reverend Ade, saying that Stanton has paid 3.1 million. I don't know what is the total amount. If it pays 3.1 million, whether he pays some of the money or he pays all of the money under the American legal system. If he pays all the money that he must have taken from people under the American legal system, what does it mean? What impact does it make on the entire case? Is it likely that he will be let off the hook, or he committed a crime and must get the consequences, whether he pays all the money or not?
That's a good question. So it's important to unpack this. The court, Mr. Witherspoon's sentence is pursuant to a plea arrangement. He never went to trial.
That's
in fact, the court did an investigation to determine whether or not, whenever someone takes a plea, the state still has an obligation to present the evidence it would have used to prosecute that person had the case gone to trial. That happened in this case. There's a docket here for that. But with regards to your question, part of that agreement, the court determined that Mr. Witherspoon made about $3,500,000, $3.5 million, as part of his proceeds from that criminal enterprise. So there's an order here. The order says that pursuant to 18 U.S.C. and the rules of the Federal Rules of Criminal Procedure, a forfeiture money judgment in the amount of $3.5 million is hereby entered against the defendant. It is important to note that that is an order for him to pay restitution. That doesn't mean he walked to court with that money. No, he didn't do that. Criminal defendants who are required to pay restitution can pay it over a period of time. So, for example, Mr. Witherspoon served his sentence. He comes out, then he starts paying that money. Now, I'm not suggesting that it's not possible he can pay beforehand, but it's uncommon. It's really not common to see a criminal defendant walk in court to pay money. That didn't happen here. For example, there is a defendant from Detroit, Michigan called Kwame Kilpatrick, former mayor of Detroit, Michigan. Kilpatrick came out after years of being in prison and had to seek leave of court to work speaking events so that he can be able to pay his restitution. So to answer your question, Mr. Witherspoon has to serve his full sentence. I know somebody mentioned good time. That whole good time thing is not really going to happen here because there are set requirements that a defendant who is seeking early release has to meet. Sometimes age, his medical reason, he's sick, for example, and therefore he has to come out. Mr. Witherspoon being a very healthy man, he's not an old person. More likely than not, he's going to serve his full time. It's not going to be for good time. That good time thing usually happens most of the time in state courts. This is a federal court. More likely than not, he's going to be serving his full time, and he's going to pay restitution regardless. He's still going to have to serve his full time.
Thank you, Councilor Freeman. And there is something I want you to clarify before I come to Reverend Adi. I know you have a rebuttal. During the indictment phase of this whole development, a lot of people that did research say this case Stanton was going to get at least 20 years in prison. Now, because now some saying that he got 41 months is because of the prayer, or a lot of people were praying for him, those people that were sending support for him. It is God answering their prayer, and a lot of stories surrounding that. So if you can clarify why instead of the at least 20 years, he's not getting 41 months.
So the statute provides, 18 U.S.C. provides for conspiracy to commit wire fraud. It provides for up to 30 years imprisonment. That's the maximum on the sentencing. So it's something called the Federal Sentencing Guidelines. So under the Federal Sentencing Guidelines, 18 U.S.C. says if you are found guilty for conspiracy to commit wire fraud, you serve up to 30 years. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean you get to serve the full 30 years. It means that's the maximum required under the sentencing guidelines. In this particular case, I think I read most of the letters that were sent out in the docket, what we call character witnesses. People were pleading and asking for leniency. In fact, there is a document in this docket that shows Mr. Witherspoon as a little boy, maybe not more than 5 months old. and they talk about the fact that he grew up in Liberia during the war and all of that. Those were all intended for the judge to consider what we call the totality of the circumstances pertaining to Mr. Witherspoon. So the sentencing guideline required he could serve up to 30 years for this crime, but based on the fact that he's a first-time offender, there are a lot of character witnesses there, asking for leniency. The court, even though it's still within the guidelines, but it gave him the very tail end of the guidelines. Okay, so the sentencing guidelines said, well, up to 30 years. That's the maximum. But in this case, the court gave him the very tail end of the guidelines because of several other factors.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Councilor Freeman. Let's hear from you now, Reverend Addy.
So once again, let me clarify some things, because people are kind of bunching things up together as if to say the Unity Party took stolen money from a convicted criminal. Mr. Witherspoon was indicted, I believe, in January. Councilor, please correct me.
That's
the Unity Party.
Right,
correct. The Unity Party, and let me be clear. In January of 2023, the Unity Party secured its new headquarters in 2021. Timeline is very important here. In 2021, when you listen to Mr. Witherspoon, when Mr. Henry Costa said, "I secure funding of $60,000 as contribution towards the headquarters," Mr. Witherspoon came up and clarified that he talked to partners who assisted the Unity Party with that funding. Were those partners criminal? You don't know. Did we get the money after he was indicted? No. His indictment happened in 2023. We got the assistance in 2021 or prior, reflective of two statements, that of Henry Costa and Mr. Stanton Witherspoon. So this idea to force a false narrative to make it seem like the Unity Party or Joseph Boyka obtained this money when he was a criminal, no, it was after the fact. It's like a bishop who has a church, and you're pastoring a church, and people contribute to the church, and you don't know whatsoever or where they're getting the money from, and you receive the money. Does that make you a criminal because the person was indicted down the road? Let's be clear, people. That is not how you impugn people's sense of integrity by making a political argument to score points to impugn people's reputation. The chronological facts are clear. I repeat, Unity Party got its headquarters in 2021. Stanton Witherspoon was indicted in January 2023. Stanton Witherspoon stated in his podcast, "I asked partners to assist." And Henry Costa stated, "I went to get the money." Arrest.
Derek, I have questions for Reverend Reeves and Bishop Reeves and Reverend Ade.
Go right ahead.
Okay.
Yes.
My question. Okay. Bishop Reeves and Reverend Ade. People commit crimes, or an individual commit a crime. The person is sent to court, found guilty, and sent to jail. Then either friends, family members, or people in the neighborhood say they pray to God so that that person can either not go to jail, or if go to jail, might be free sooner or later, because they feel sorry for him and they're asking God to let that sentence or that imprisonment be cancelled, or the member be taken from jail. Does God answer such prayers? Or somebody who committed a crime sent to jail, and people say they pray to God, like in the case of Santa, people are praying. Does God answer such prayers?
Well, I would tell you that God is a forgiving God. If Stanton committed a crime and he repented and he asked God for forgiveness, and people are praying for Stanton for forgiveness, God will forgive him. God is a forgiving God. So the thing here is, as long as the person can acknowledge what they've done, Okay. Now, if you acknowledge what you have done, of course, there will be forgiveness. Of course, God will forgive you. What I don't want people to misunderstand in what we're saying here is that some of us are not against Stanton supporting the Unity Party. I'm not against him. Okay, I'm against the fact that people are using what Stanton has done. People are using it to just support, because you see, you have people who are strong. This election that we have is very important. There are people who are strong behind Unity Party. There are people who are strong behind the CDC. My issue is not about who's strong behind CDC or who's strong behind Unity Party. My issue is we have many people in our society who have committed crime. And because of what they are doing in our society, nobody wants to talk about the crime. They want to hail them. And that is my issue. People want to hail people for what they're doing. And I have an issue with that. We are hailing people. We push them. We give them positions. Okay, you vote for somebody to become a senator. You vote for. Meanwhile, when you look at a person's track record, you realize that track record, there's a problem over there. So why do we still put people in position? I'm not against Mr. Stanton Weatherspoon. I want all of you to get it very clear. All right. My thing is, we as Liberians, when people commit crime, instead of us dealing with it, we support them and put them in positions. And you know that we can go along. We have a laundry list of people in our country who have committed crime, and we put them in position. It's a fact, and we all know that. So this is the position at which I'm coming from. I'm not against Mr. Weatherspoon, and I don't want you to get it wrong here. I am looking at the fact that in our country, people commit crime, and we don't deal with it accordingly. Look, do you think if this thing had happened in America, and Mr. Stanton was running for a certain position, or what do you think the American system would have done? Shut everything down. Okay? But in Africa or in Liberia, no, we don't do that. So that's my point I'm making here.
Thank you, Mr. Freeman.
I have a question.
Thank you. Thank you. Let me.
Can we allow Reverend Adi in first?
Yes, Reverend Adi, go ahead.
So let's be very clear. The Bible says in Romans 5:8, whilst we were yet sinners, Christ died for us. Whilst we were yet sinners, Christ died for us. John 3:16, for God so loved the world, he gave his only begotten son, that whosoever believes shall not perish. 1 John 1:9 is very clear. If you confess your sins, God is faithful and just to forgive. Unbelievers have access to the grace and forgiveness and mercy of God. That is a fact. What I also want us to understand here is this. Nobody is supporting Stanton Weatherspoon's crimes. That isn't true. Nobody is celebrating the fact that he's a convicted criminal. Nobody's celebrating that. Not me, not the political leader, Joseph Boyka, or the Unity Party. However, people have indeed asked for leniency as within the law. So we know that God is a God of justice. He's a God of justice. Society has created laws that when you commit crimes, when you commit crimes, you do the time if convicted through the due process. And he has pleaded guilty. And he's going to serve his time of 41 months. Those are the facts. What is not the fact is that the Unity Party took money from a criminal. You have not established that he was a criminal before they took money. So that is the false narrative that is being corrected here, but not a justification that we're celebrating crimes committed by Mr. Stanton Weatherspoon. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Reverend Adi. Let's hear from you, Mr. Weir, and then after we'll come to you, Mrs. Collins.
Okay, there is one thing we need to get clear here also. Mr. Weatherspoon is not contesting for any position because people talking about running for something. And as Reverend Ari said, nobody is really supporting what he did. And it is also not true that here in the United States, people commit crime and they are not supported. Donald Trump is an example. Despite all the crimes he committed, he is the leading candidate of the Republican Party. So I want for putting the real to know. Besides, I'll go back to Fox News. Fox News recently paid millions of dollars for lying. That is another thing. So what I'm saying here is that anybody, based on free speech, can express their opinion. And the guy we're talking about here, he never told anybody that he's a journalist. He's an opinion host, which it is done here in the West, especially in America where we are. People say what they want to say. It left with you, the listener, to decide the facts. Saying something on the radio is different from the code of law. So people need to understand that. So I want to make it clear that we are not saying what he did is worth to be celebrated. I was just making comparison. If we want to be straight, then we should be straight. If Liberia was any other country, even Joe Howard Taylor would not even be a vice president because he married to a man who killed thousands of Liberians. So we should not go back and this man, he did something. Yes, he did that. But like Frank Johnson is a senator in Liberia today. This man is not contesting for any position, and he is being punished already. And by the fact that he pleaded guilty, he realized he did something wrong. So nothing wrong with that.
Thank you very much, Mr. Weir. Let's hear from you now, Mrs. Collins. And I know you just joined in the conversation, but we're talking about Stanton Witherspoon case. Go right ahead.
Well, Mr. Witherspoon committed a crime, and he's gonna face the full weight of the law. There's no if and end about it. He uses his platform, for a lot of things for many people to go and air their opinion and discuss issues like we do here. But if he committed a crime, this is a country of law. He will have to face the full weight of the law. And I don't think people celebrating it. At least for one, I'm not celebrating, the crime he committed. I'm not celebrating that. But if he did something that Liberian people benefited from, let us say he's gonna face a way. He's gonna be punished for what he did. So, hey, Mama, I don't think we should be celebrating. We should be talking about, some people celebrating, some people not celebrating. Again, on the other hand, we can't control what people will say, what people will think, how people will, their opinion will give about this case. You can't control what people, think about it and what people will say about it. Plus, it happened in the political season. So, if he was supporting the Unity Party, people will talk about it. If he were supporting CDC, people will talk about it. So, yeah, he was supporting CDC or he was supporting the Unity Party. So this is a political season, so you will expect all kinds of talk from every corner. So, but Mr. Witherspoon want to face the full weight of the law. This is a country of law.
Yeah, excuse me, Derek. I think there's a mistake here that Mr. Weir just made using Trump and using Joe Howard Taylor. Trump is not being convicted of a crime. Joe Taylor,
yes, he did. He has been committed in New York. It's in a civil case.
Okay, so if it's in the civil case, so I don't think he has been convicted that he would. I mean, he's going to jail. As we are looking at Stanton, Joe Taylor has a clean record, and she has not committed any crime. So don't use her as association because she was married to Charles Taylor. Those two things those two people named that you call, I think you are misleading us here. Please.
How would you say he's misleading when she's under sanction? Why do you think she's under sanction?
Derek. Thank you, Mr. Councilor Primo.
May I just interject a little bit?
Go right ahead. We have 5 minutes for this discussion. Go ahead.
I think there is a larger picture Bishop Reeves and Ms. Gwinnett are trying to allude here. There's a larger issue here. And it's the issue of the culture of impunity in Liberia. Let me give you an example. Let me give you an example. Several years ago, your current deputy speaker in Liberia,
Fanati Kofa.
Mr. Kofa was a licensed attorney here in the state of North Carolina. He embezzled clients' money. He was tried. He was convicted. He served prison time. And after he completed his time, he went back to Liberia. Now he is a sitting representative and the deputy speaker, and potentially he could very well be your next speaker of the House. And the list go on and on. So I think there's a larger picture, and the larger issue is the issue in the culture of impunity in Liberia, where people would side with one person depending on what aisle that person is on. And I'm not necessarily directing it at one party or the other, but I think that from a larger sense, the culture of impunity in Liberia is so palpable that one has to wonder, are we not a country? If we want to be a country of laws, then we have to start holding people accountable. So, for example, you have also the people who have no business being in electoral office today in Liberia are in electoral office because of that culture of impunity.
Thank you.
We have a culture of impunity to the extent that even the institutions do not adhere to the rule of law. So, for example, you have the Election Commission. The rules, the Constitution say after 7 days of no winner, the next election should be held. Instead, they're taking it to September, January 14th, I believe.
November 14th.
November 14th is the next time instead of the 7th. That culture of impunity where people just don't care about the rule of law, the principles of law. That's the larger issue they are trying to address. I don't think they're really trying to single out Mr. Witherspoon or the UP party for that matter. They're just saying that from a larger standpoint, people tend to support people based on their association or affiliation with that person. And that's a problem. That's a problem we need to be concerned about as a country, because it is eroding our understanding as a country, is eroding any principle of law. But before I end my statement, there's a question that's been on the screen. Let me just address this young man's question or a lady's question. And the question is, within the next 90 days, can the sentencing time increase? No. There is something called double jeopardy. Mr. Witherspoon has pled guilty. The court has entered his sentence. He'll be serving that time. Even if the government produces additional evidence, more likely he will not be charged for it because of double jeopardy. The Fifth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution preclude double jeopardy.
Thank you.
Mr. Freeman. Councilor Freeman.
Thank you.
Let's stay to Councilor Freeman. Yeah. You said something referencing Fanati Kofa, who you said committed crime in the United States, was convicted, served a jail sentence, and came to Liberia and was elected a representative and now deputy speaker, and possibly could be speaker of the House. I'm wondering whether that is the best analogy, the fact that Fanati Kofa committed a crime in the United States and not in Liberia.
The analogy is pertinent, and yes, why the analogy aligns perfectly well. We are talking about
impunity,
the desire in Liberia to basically forgo people transgressions, right? And Fanati Kofa is a perfect example. In most society where people are really concerned about the rule of law and the reputation of the people who elect into public office. Now, keep in mind, he embezzled money. This is not just some, for any crime. This is not a traffic offense, anything. It had to do with trust issue. He was entrusted with clients' money, and those money were embezzled. Now we're put him into a position of authority in Liberia, right? Where he's potentially negotiating on behalf of the country. And we disregard the fact that this man served time for investing money, even though it's outside of the jurisdiction. But it's important to note that it goes to his reputation and his integrity directly. So I get what you're saying. Different jurisdiction, different country, but it's the same person we're talking about. And now we're putting him in a position of trust. He shouldn't be in a position of trust if we're really serious about the rule of law, right?
Yes.
So that's the
Derek, Reverend Ade was talking about the issue of Joel Howard Taylor. Someone saying she was never convicted, she committed no crime, but she was sanctioned. When Councilor Freeman, can you talk about that? She was sanctioned. Does she have the moral rectitude to be vice president?
She should have left the marriage.
Well, but
what are you guys talking about?
No, Jawenken.
Mr. William, let's hear from Councilor Freeman.
In legal terms, in legal terms, does she have the
sanction? The U.S. sanctioning someone doesn't necessarily rise to a prima facie case. It does not rise to a prima facie case, right? I believe that when the U.S. sanctions someone in Liberia, we saw the sanction Miguel, the sanction another guy from the National Port Authority. They're basically signaling to the country that you need to do some investigation here. But the sanctioning of itself is not a prima facie evidence of that result into necessary conviction. It just is a hint to the country that you need to do some additional investigation and perhaps prosecute where the evidence leads you to. Now, just because the person was sanctioned does not mean that person has been charged with a crime. She was not charged with a crime. Does not mean the person has had their day in court, and doesn't necessarily mean that the person has been convicted of any crime. It's only a hint to, in this case, Liberia, that you want to look more closely to this person to see whether a crime has been committed. From our vantage point, according to the U.S., we believe this person is doing things that may be considered criminal. But as a country, Liberia, you need to investigate and possibly prosecute. Now, failure of Liberia to prosecute, I mean, it's up to the Liberian government at that point.
Let's get from you now, Mr. Goa. Then we'll go to Reverend Adi and then Mr. William.
Yeah, I just wanted to, I'm sitting here and just wondering, Mr. Adi, I just wanted to really actually talk to you concerning, the whole defending thing that you on with this whole criminal investigation and persecution of Mr. Witherspoon. And sometimes I start to juggle with you that as a pastor, where are your morals in that? And then when it comes to you defending a party, so I don't. Sometimes I'm confused with how you see things. So coming here, and I think it's rightfully you put your name Idatu's Adi. Instead of people start calling you Reverend Adi, because for you to be a pastor and want us here in the audience to accept that what happened concerning Stanton Witherspoon is not wrong, and I get confused with that, and that's why I wanted to say that for you to even say that Stanton Witherspoon was giving the money before he was indicted and everything. That's what they said on that platform. But then Costa went to say that he continuously supported Mr. Bwaka. So we don't know at this point whether Mr. Bwaka was being supported even after he was indicted, because if people start to bring our records here, we might probably see that, and I don't know what you will come out to say again. We all know as Liberians that Stanton stands truthfully and fully for Unity Party. He supports Joseph Bwaka on a regular basis, and that's his platform is even built because he takes sides. And Mr. We are saying that, oh no, people do it all the time. But when you're telling us that this man is servicing Liberia as a whole, but then he supports one group of people, he's not servicing Liberia, he's servicing the Unity Party. So it doesn't benefit the entire Liberian community. So then that's why I still because I have a lot of respect for Pastor Adi as a reverend and pastor. And then I get confused because when wrong is wrong, as a Christian, for me, it's wrong. It's not that I hate an individual, I hate the act that they committed. And I don't think that when people come out to say that he's supposed to be persecuted for that, I don't think people should start telling them that, oh, they hate the person and we are not Christians. No, although God said he's forgiving, but you have to pay for your crimes. And that's what we are saying here. What kind of message are we sending to our children, the future generation of Liberia? What are we laying down for them if we support these kind of acts?
Thank you very much, Reverend Adi. Let's hear from you now, and
So,
then I will take you, Mr. Weir.
so thank you kindly. So these are some of the challenges I have with these discussions. People hear what they want to hear, and then they become personal on the issue and go after people's calling. I've never stated on this line that I support Mr. Witherspoon's crimes. Fact number one. Fact number two. I've never stated on this line that I celebrate Mr. Witherspoon's crimes. So the confusion you are having is very simple. You want to make a political argument, and you are hearing what you're hearing. I provided a chronological timeline between the receiving of the money versus when Unity Party obtained their headquarters in conclusion to his indictments. But you took all of that information and you've completely distorted it and personalized an attack for no reason, questioning my sense of morality when I specifically told you he deserves his conviction for the crime. I don't celebrate it, and neither Mr. Boyka nor the Unity Party celebrate the fact that he committed crimes in these United States. But you want to reframe the argument for your personal political benefit. Selective morality is what we're having here. And we can't do that. You say, oh, I removed the reverend from behind my name. Everybody knows I'm a reverend. I don't have to put the title there. I logged on with my name. I'm not hiding anything. I stand by what I said. I did not justify his crimes. So there was a complete distortion of everything I stated here. And quite frankly, you should apologize for that. Because you are attempting to impugn me for no reason. And you can choose not to apologize. And that is, and you can choose not to apologize. You know, you support Dr. Moneybuy. Dr. Moneybuy worked for a warlord, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. Where is your morality about that? So let's be very careful and stick to the issue and leave the personal insults or disrespect. Thank you.
Okay,
Well,
so I think
excuse me, you say Dr. Moneybuy support the warlord, but the person he support, Bishop Parker was the vice president to a warlord. So
I'm not going to.
How you attack me? You only focus on the money that was paid for United Party platform, but you for the headquarters. You are not focused on the money that Stanton sent to support your Senate Barrett.
Let's pretend Mr. Weir. Let's pretend Mr. Weir.
I think it's getting harder now.
So here's the analogy. Here is the analogy that people are making.
Yes, a minute, Mr. Weir. We have to end this conversation and move on to the next one.
Okay, yes. I see people are saying, questioning whether Bwaka judgment, and at the same time, they are protecting the current vice president, who also benefited.
Mr. Weir, you don't want to go there.
No. Because you're talking about benefit. You don't
want to go there because this station will not give us. They will not give us the opportunity to really deal with it. So just don't go there. Yeah,
Mr. Reeves.
Because you are saying,
arrest my case.
Let's pretend Mr. Weir. Mr. Weir,
Bwaka is benefiting from this crime. That's what you are saying.
No, nobody's saying that.
But
nobody's saying that.
The question is, why did he accept?
No.
Why did he accept money from the man who was committed? Who was accused? But the point is, if you look at it logically, if you're making that comparison, and you are excluding the current vice president, who Hosmond presided over the atrocity of Liberia, she benefited.
I just told you don't want to go there. It's a matter of impunity. Councillor Freeman already said it. It's a matter of impunity in our country.
But that's what I'm saying.
That's what he said. So nobody is against.
Nobody here supports impunity. So you guys are making two separate arguments. Is anybody here supporting impunity in the context of the argument?
Mr. Reeves,
it's my time.
Reverend
I just told you in
Reeves.
Liberia currently. I've told some even pastors. I told a lot of people. In fact, I was soon being in Liberia. Look, I talked to people that are in government. I talked to a lot of Liberians. that justify the stealing of the money. And then what they say is because they are spending it, the lead time, it was spent out of the country. While at least under we administration, they are spent. I do not support crime. And that was why I was supporting Gongo.
Thank you,
Okay,
thank you,
so
Mr.
it was
Thank
out.
you, Mr. Weah. Thank you, Mr. Weah. And let me conclude this.
You know,
I'm coming to you,
I
Reverend
just
Adi.
want to know why is Mr. Reeves defending Madam Joa Howard Taylor? Does he have a relationship with her?
We're not having that conversation.
Because that is,
You know what I mean? But he takes the job to defend her.
No.
Since we are talking about the culture of impunity, should I conclude that you don't want to go there? Since you want to defend her?
No, because
Selective morality, my brother.
No. I have sufficient information on the issue of Joa Taylor. So what he's saying and the analogy he's making, I have sufficient information on the issue of Joa Taylor. That's what I'm saying.
And we don't have information.
So we can do a whole program on this one.
What you are saying,
and I don't have information. Are you suggesting that we don't have information?
No. I really want us to have another time where we can come and deal with
let's have
this.
the conversation, please.
I would love it.
Public.
Mr. Weah and Reverend Adi.
Derek. Go ahead, Derek. We rest.
I would like to conclude this conversation by giving Reverend Adi and Mr. Weah the opportunity to address this concern.
Why will you do that?
No, I'm sorry, but I read the comments. And those that are watching us want to know just one thing.
Okay.
And I want to explain it for Reverend Adi and Mr. Weah, since they are the ones supporting Unity Party / JNB relationship with Stanton Witherspoon. I know we talk about the issue, the culture of impunity. That has been discussed. It's done and dusted. Now, the issue here, people that are talking about Stanton and Unity Party relationship, I think they're trying to flag that hypocritical stance that Unity Party spent 5 to 6 years criticizing Weah administration for one specific thing, stealing. Now, Reverend Adi, you did a great job drawing the timeline on when that 60,000 thing happened. But what he did not do is also address the issue raised by Costa when he said that's not just the only financial support. He says Stanton has been providing financial support even to this very day. And now you or JNB or Unity Party chairman has come out to deny those allegations. Now, we understand you don't support Stanton crime. We understand that. But would you publicly criticize Stanton crime? Would you publicly criticize Unity Party for not condemning Stanton, who has been a very strong supporter of Unity Party? Would you publicly criticize Stanton? Would you criticize Unity Party for not condemning Stanton? I just want to, the commenter want to hear that from you guys, and then we'll just move on from this conversation.
So let's be very clear. You Honorable Ambassador, Vice President, incoming President Joseph Ima Boyka is condemnative of any crimes committed.
That has not been expressed. That has not been.
Let me answer the question. I'm answering the question. You are interrupting, Mr. Moderator.
I will give you the opportunity.
I am condemning the crime. I'm condemning the crime. For your listening audience,
go ahead.
The Unity Party does not support and does not endorse any crimes that has to do with breaking the law. The crimes committed by Stanton Witherspoon, the crimes committed by Stanton Witherspoon is condemned. I condemn it, and let's be very clear for the record. He has been convicted as a criminal. We condemn it. The culture of impunity is not supported by me
I'm sorry to
or the Honorable Joseph Ima Boyka. So
Reverend
it has
Adi.
Been stated for the record, we condemn it.
Reverend Adi, you're saying you're not the official spokesperson of Unity Party.
Thank you.
I was asking you.
But then why you ask me?
No.
I will publicly condemn it.
Maybe I want to clarify my question. I'm asking, I ask you two things. Hero Costa made several allegations. Ambassador Boyka has not come out to clarify those allegations. Unity Party has not come out to clarify those allegations. I'm asking you, Reverend Adi, would you condemn I'm not saying will Unity Party condemn Stanton Crown. Would you condemn Unity Party that you support for not coming out with an official statement, one, to condemn Stanton Witherspoon, or would you condemn Joseph Boakai for not making an official statement to condemn Stanton Witherspoon and his crime? I'm not asking you to speak for Unity Party.
So let's be very clear here, my friend. There are members within all parties. If you as a standard bearer will be attempting to condemn everybody for what they've done, hey, my man, you see, Mr. Moderator, you don't know how to give a chance to answer, brother.
I will give you a chance, but I'm not going to give you the opportunity to deviate. I know you have you want.
No, I am not, Mr. Moderator. Mr. Moderator, I'm not deviating.
He is smartly, cleverly deviating. That's what he's doing. He's a very clever man.
What's the word you use again? Embellish, right?
Embellish.
Yeah, he's a very clever man.
Embellishing. Listen to me. Embellishing is a beautiful English word, but that doesn't apply to me. It is the beautiful way of saying somebody's lying. Don't use that on me. I'm being very clear. You're asking me, since you say I'm not the spokesperson of Unity Party, then it's unfortunate you are asking me a question that should be asked to Unity Party officials. Thank you.
But again, I will clarify this and I'll move on to Mr. Weah. when President Weah government steal money, it is not the Unity Party that can condemn them. Reverend Adi, you know how to express your condemnation on President Weah when he steal money. I'm asking you, since those allegations come up, are you going to condemn Ambassador Boakai for one, not releasing a statement to clarify those allegations, for his relationship with Stanton Witherspoon, given his conviction and indictment? That is all I'm asking you. I'm not asking you to speak for Unity Party.
Yes.
So, it's the clear difference. George Weah is in charge of the nation's coffers and has been unable to account for $25 million that he gave to money changers, $30 million for the COVID, $120 million given to East International, the money that has been, please let me conclude. All right, so that is a vast difference. I will say to you, hopefully you can have a Unity Party official spokesman that will address the question.
But the question is to you, though, not Unity Party. Will you condemn that?
He's already answered the question. He said sometimes no answer is an answer. Let's hear from Mr. Weah.
What is the question?
Would you condemn Unity Party, or would you condemn, first of all, Stanton Witherspoon crime? And Henry Costa made several allegations concerning the former vice president and the Unity Party relationship with Stanton Witherspoon. Would you first condemn them for not releasing a statement distancing themselves from that allegation? And would you condemn them for their relationship with Stanton as an indicted or convicted criminal?
Okay. First of all, I am glad that you said that Costa made a lot of allegations. These are allegations. They don't worth any comment. The last time I checked, Costa was the main supporter of Boakai until he was denied the slot for the vice presidency. So I don't think he's credible. With respect to whether Boakai condemned or whatever, I stated it clearly here. Any crime in Liberia is committed. And this man was already good. This man himself pleaded guilty that he did something wrong. He doesn't need any condemnation from anybody. He committed a crime. And we all know it. That's why he pled guilty. He doesn't need any condemnation from anybody. Even here, I will say that again. Even here, where we are in the United States, during election nearing, campaigning is different from governing. That is a fact. So he will judge Boakai when he takes power, whether he supports corruption or not. That's my answer.
Thank you very much, Mr. Weah. Before I take a break, let me just say this on this issue, on this conversation. You know, most people that I talk to from Liberia, they're not into however you defend your party line. Let's not forget that Unity Party is seeking its door to unseat President Weah. They're running the campaign on change. And what we should understand also is that Liberians have been used to this CDC-led government where they do something, and no matter what, they defend that to the core. Even if it's clear stealing, right in public eye, they will come back and defend it right to the core. And I think people that raise that argument that are trying to see things differently, they will be disappointed in you guys' response tonight, because they're still seeing that pattern that no matter what, if you cannot condemn someone you support, even if all of the evidence are clear. We're not saying do not support JMB. We're not saying do not support United Party. But if you're seeing this pattern of United Party affiliating with someone that is indicted, or one of JMB's strongest supporters, just a few months ago, Heron Costa was the Jesus Christ of United Party. If he raised that allegation and said, oh, someone stole money or JMB stole money, JMB should come within less than 24 hours or after to clarify.
What's about going to President Weah Party? What do you say about that?
Let me finish.
Eddie man, why would
I think the bottom line is what you're expecting for CDC or Liberia as a whole to be able to condemn those people when they do these things.
Exactly.
If you cannot come here and say, oh, I think Ambassador Baga should have released a statement and say, oh no, Heron Costa is lying, or such and such did not happen. You should, if you cannot condemn United Party or Ambassador Baga for their relationship with Stanton, knowing fully well he has been indicted on federal charges, then you're literally telling the Liberian people there's no change, especially in this regard.
That is a mischaracterization and a faulty premise.
I will give you a minute, Reverend Adi, and then I will close this argument.
All right. So first of all, that is a clear mischaracterization of the foundation of your question. Joseph Boyka, the party has emphatically ran and consistently run on the platform of integrity. Integrity is, in fact, pillar 6 of our vision. Anti-corruption. Rule of law is pillar 3, and governance. So in no way, shape, or form, the Honorable Joseph Boyka in any way supports, celebrates crime committed by Mr. Stanton Witherspoon, for the record. The question becomes, why isn't he responding to Henry Costa? You know, when somebody's statement is politically motivated to score political points, and then you say, oh, he should respond to everything, Henry Costa plans to talk for the next 2 weeks. So every time he talks, the Honorable Ambassador Joseph Ima Boyka, incoming president, should get up and respond to him for someone who is disgruntled because he was not chosen to be the next vice president of Liberia. And you want us now to respond to everything he said? We cannot denigrate.
Thank you.
We cannot denigrate that at all.
Thank you very much, Reverend.
That is the fact here.
Guys, it's time now that we take a break. When we come back, we will get into. I will give you time after the break, but we have exhausted all of the time for this.
I have a trial tomorrow, and if I can,
yes, that's what I was about to say. Thank you so much for appearing tonight.
Yeah, I have a trial tomorrow. I gotta go sleep.
Well, we'll take a break. After the break, we'll come back with our next conversation. But thank you so much, Councilor Freeman, for appearing tonight.
Thank you, Councilor.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Councilor.
Hey there. Many Liberians are members of social clubs, 501c NGOs, and school alumni. Many Liberians are trying to open their own 501c NGOs, home care agencies, and social clubs. Does your organization have a professional website? Does your web platform have the right wording and content to attract grants? Hopefully you're not running your organization only through social media. There's a more professional route. You need an online space where you can craft a positive message about your organization, making your home health agency more credible, which will increase your chances to receive grants. We'll build you a responsive platform for 501c organizations, healthcare agencies, and other types of organizations. We'll provide you with full website maintenance, membership sign-in, private charts, Facebook and WhatsApp integration, live video feed for all your meetings and special occasions, a dashboard for members to see all the activities, and email and text auto reminders for meetings. We'll build with donors and 501cs in mind, and will help you solicit grants and automatic membership due collections. Building you this amazing platform will only be a membership fee of $19 a month. Call or email us now. Let's upgrade your website. Home health agencies and small businesses You owe it to your company to project the best image possible, and we can make it happen. Visit www.tiamit.com or call 215-966-8679. Ask for Tommy.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you're watching us from. You're right here on the Liberia Radio and Television Network, and we are bringing to you episode 9, season 4 of the Hard. Before we get into our next conversation, I would like to encourage all of you to please share this program on your Facebook page and also follow the network, and encourage your friends and family to follow the network as well. And that is the Liberia Radio and Television Network on Facebook and YouTube. As you know, we're here on the Hard Zone. The Hard Zone is a opinion-based talk show where we feature a team of panelists on different political ideology, different political institutions. And we're all here proud ourselves to put Liberia first. And also, no gimmick, no fluff, just real talk. And just by way of disclaimer, all of the opinions and position that will be offered on the Hard Zone are the opinions and position of the panelists that will be offering them, and not the official position of the network. With that being said, let's get right into our conversation on major endorsements. And I would now like to join my co-host, Mr. David Takbe, so he can walk us through some of the major endorsements that went on this week. I would like for us to talk specifically about ALP and Henry Costa endorsement to the CDC. Well, let me hear from you, Mr. Takbe.
Yes, David, as I said initially, the endorsement window still remains open. The fact that Alexander Cummings and the wonder guy, the miraculous candidate, what they call him, has not, how they call the guy? Appleton.
Oh, Appleton, yeah.
Appleton and Cummings haven't made an endorsement yet. That leaves the endorsement window still open. But as we speak, the Unity Party people are rejoicing. The fact that the party of Ms. Walker has been endorsed by the All Liberia People's Party, the ACOP of Lusuni Kamara. But talking specifically about the ALP endorsement of George Weah, yes, it's something worth talking about, because you remember some months ago, years ago, Mr. Weah made some specific comments about the URIs. You remember that, where he said that not a URI on a regime will ever be elected. And so that has become, such an endorsement has raised a lot of eyebrows. How come Mr. Weah, who made this kind of disparaging comments about the URI, is not being endorsed? Though the ALP is not the URI's party, but is the head of that party is a URI who is Benani URI, backed by his daughter Talia URI, and I don't know the relationship with Costa, and so people are recalling that comment of Mr. Weah. Then Mr. Uri and the ALP have endorsed Mr. Weah. So, I mean, there's even a split in the CDC as we are hearing about that endorsement, merely about Costa involvement. The name Costa being part of that endorsement has also created some mixed feeling even within the CDC itself, within the rank and files of the CDC. Some clinicians, in fact, did not intend the endorsement ceremony. As I I speak to you. Some major names are called, and I don't want to mention them here for now. That about or did not attend the endorsement ceremony of Mr. Weah by the ALP because of dissatisfaction. The fact is that they are claiming Acosta is not a reliable person, is not a trustworthy person, and bringing him back to the party is likely risking the image of the party in the future, or will take a lot from the party because Costa has lost public confidence because of his critical position on issues. And then today he badmouths the CDC and Mr. Weah. He goes to the Unity Party. He comes back to the CDC. He goes back to the Unity Party. He leaves the Unity Party, comes back to the city. So this is a concern. Even in the streets of Monrovia, people are talking about that. In fact, as far as some people are concerned, Costa does not have any relevance. It's now a major factor in the run of election because no one has us. We are calling Costa a hero. His namesake rings bell. He's one of the most eloquent talk show hosts or political analysts, as he's called. He has a lot of admirers and followers. But there are others who say, in spite of that, he does not have any constituency, major constituency. What is he taking to the CDC to make it win an election? This is a man that has lost public confidence, according to them. But these are people say, oh, look, the guy is a hero. And so there's dissatisfaction in the CDC hierarchy. Some clinicians welcome him, appreciate him, are proud that he has come to them. They feel that he has added more impetus to the CDC campaign ahead of the runoff is coming. With the ALP today, United Partisans, including Reverend Ade, are celebrating and rejoicing because of today's endorsement of yesterday's endorsement, because it's somewhere around 2:36 in Liberia in the morning. Reverend Ade and other supporters of Mr. Bwaka and the Unity Party are now celebrating, even if I'm not mistaken, some of them are having parties that are running into today because of they see that endorsement as a major endorsement, because if Derek, that endorsement ceremony attracted a mammoth crowd. It was almost like a campaign launch. So
was it because Ambassador Bwaka showed up in person?
Probably it could be that, and because Mr. Lucene Camara is ACOP have a larger constituency. They I hope people from that ethnic group, do not feel uncomfortable what I'm about to say, because the party and its making is predominantly people from the ethnic group of Mr. Camara, and it's a large community, it's a large constituency. So they've all came together. They all came together to attend that ceremony. So that has added more grease to the elbows of the Unity Party and Joseph Bwaka. They feel that with the coming of the support or endorsement of ACO, it has brought the Unity Party or Mr. Bwaka closer to the executive mansion. But yet there is also disagreement or disillusionment in the ACO, because there are ACO partisans or officials who are also not pleased with the endorsement of Mr. Bwaka, and they've gone their separate ways. Some are going the way of the CDC. Why? Whether the group that has gone to the CDC is more larger than the group that has come to the Unity Party. I've not seen that particular group, but I've seen the group that came to the Unity Party. It was actually the mammoth crowd that can give anybody the confidence that they are likely to win because of such a huge crowd that are out today.
Thank you very much, David. You guys hear our development on some of the major endorsements in Liberia as we await the second round that is scheduled for the 14th of this month. ACOP endorsed the Unity Party. But I would like for us to talk about ALP and Herman Pedro Costa endorsement of CDC. But let me start with you, Reverend Ade. Let me start with you on this one. Well, first of all, what do you think about Henry Costa or ALP now endorsing CDC? And you can also talk about their relationship. At one point in time, we saw Henry Costa heavily criticizing the current administration, and as time went by, he was chased out of Liberia by the allegedly by the current administration, and he went rampant on President Weah, raining all type of insults on him. But the day he's in bed with President Weah, he endorsed his re-elections, and also
in fact, the government, David, in fact, the government wanted him back when he fled the country.
Wanted him extradited back to the country. So
the government did not turn him.
Right. Given that toss, I want you to speak to that relationship. I want you to speak to the endorsement, and what impact does that have on the elections, Reverend Adi?
Well, I mean, we will certainly know, but what I do understand is this political up and down or inconsistencies of Mr. Henry Costa has in fact reduced his political relevance, as evidenced by the commentaries you would see under his live posts, as evidenced by the different advice that's coming from all over the place, the reaction, the backlash he's hearing. At one point, he said Joseph Boyka was a dead man walking, and then came back and told the Liberian people that he's the greatest man ever. At one point, George Weah was a no good man. He came back and told us that George Weah was good. Now he's gone back to telling us that he's bad. Now he's gone back to telling us he's good, and we should vote for him. So all of that, the Liberian people have come to, quite frankly, independently realize that this guy is, has become the new political Jim Jones, for that matter, because he actually attempting to play with the future of the nation. The youth who once upon a time believed in him are no longer comfortable with him. The more he speaks, the more people are, disenchanted and disappointed with this gentleman as a young man who had potential future of becoming politically relevant in our political sphere. Unfortunately, it's quite embarrassing. I feel for him. In fact, one of his very good friends, Sheikh Sakor, did a personal podcast to advise him that what he's doing was very much wrong, and CDC is simply using him, and it's irresponsible for him to start doing what he's doing. He has breached a lot of confidentiality, and certainly can no longer be trusted by any major political entity. And that is why when Mr. Weah was speaking, he made a mockery of them when he called them buka fishes, that you can allow them, see, you catch your buka fish, you can't allow it to go. That type of political relegation is quite frankly embarrassing. Thank you. Of Mr. Bernard Uri and that of Mr. Henry Costa.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Reverend Adi. Let's hear from you, Mr. Bishop Reeves.
What I would say to your question is the same thing I said last week when we had the endorsement from what's his name, the attorney, Councillor Gonglo endorsing Unity Party. I said that last week, and I will say this again. If I'm running for office, okay, the first thing I would do is I would tell the people what I'm going to do for them, how I'm going to pay for what I'm going to do for them. All right. And that would be the strong thing that I would do. And if I've done anything in the past, I will push that as my track record to show them why I'm going to do what I'm going to do. Now, if I sit here and start lambasting my opponent just to score political point for political expedience, now we're at this place. And the same thing I said for Gonglo, I would say the same thing for Costa. All right, you will sit on the platform and say all kinds of things about George Weah. Then at the end of the day, you come back to the same person to say you're voting for them. The same thing we said with Gonglo. I'm saying that same thing with Costa. You can't get up and when you start doing that, like what Reverend Adi has said, when you do that, people see you they don't take you serious. All of them have been doing it, and people accept it and think that it's politics. So I don't believe that that's the right thing they're supposed to do. Now they're at the place where they got to put their support to where they want to, because they want somebody to win.
Thank you.
So can we can we really trust them? Can we really
Thank
trust
you,
what
thank
they
you,
say?
thank you, Bishop Reeves. I will get back to you on some of the issues you said, but let me first hear from Mr. Weir.
It's muted.
Okay. Or we are one of them is your next president, and he will be the leader for the next 6 years. So you have a stake on the 14th of November. But here is what I will say. Regardless of who endorses who, voting is one man, one vote, one woman, one vote. It is your conscience. You serve under President Weir as a president for the past 6 years. Boakai has not served as a president. He served in government, yes. But as you know, in the Liberian politics, the presidency is the bus stop. So whatever the president wants happens. It is also true when Weir was the senator from Mosabado County. Because he was the senator, he couldn't have done anything he wanted to do. But what am I saying? I don't want to dwell on the endorsement. I'm asking you, the Liberian people, to think it through. I will repeat. Whether you vote or not, whether somebody is a criminal or not, Weir or Boakai will be declared president. Sitting home, going against anybody is not a choice. It's a wrong choice. I ask you to vote your conscience. And if you were to ask me, I say Weir is a failure. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I miss when you used to say, if you ask me, you should probably cancel the tier one Congo. But anyway, I have a question for both for you, Reverend Addy, and and Bishop Reeves. But I'd like to start with you, Bishop Reeves. Now, I know you talk about those, like in the case of Costa, where they speak badly of this political leader at one point in time. They come back and they support that person. Now, I want you to speak to the supporters of those political institutions, where when these individuals like Costa, when they get behind or when they endorse a political institution, we find out that their supporters ignore all of the wrong things they've done before, and that person all of a sudden becomes a saint. They no longer talk about the stuff they did in the past. Now, if that person goes to the other political institution, that person now becomes a bad person. Now they say all the worst thing they can say about that particular person. Now, what do you say about political institution supporters being that way? What is your position on that?
Well, my position here is that I want people to vote for people based on what the person's qualification is and what they are able to do for the nation, not based on popularity and not based on what somebody, a leading figure, would tell us. I endorse this person. All of we're going behind and ignoring what the person have done or what they have not done. If someone have not done what we expect them to do, move them from there. Somebody else come there, we check them out and they are not doing what they're supposed to do, we move them from there. We want people that will have country first. So those supporters, I will urge them to look at the candidates, look at the people, look at their qualifications, and look at their track records in order to be able to, and let the candidates speak to the people. So that when we look at a track record, we can say, okay, this person have done something for this country. This person have not done something. This person can do this, and then we move on for that and move on to with that.
Thank you, Reverend Adi. My question to you is a little different from what I asked Bishop Reeves. Now, you talk so profoundly about you talk about Costa earlier and what his decision to endorse or CDC would mean for his political career, being a young person, like you put it. Now, someone in the comment section here want me to ask you for your view on Eugene Facon, because it's pretty much the same situation, and we don't hear Unity partisan people, like supporters of Unity Party, criticizing Eugene Facon for once being with the government, saying the worst things about Ambassador Boyka or the Unity Party, and today he's a strong supporter of the Unity Party. We don't hear them criticizing him as much as they criticize Henry Costa. And on the flip end of that, we don't hear CDC or CDC supporter criticizing Eugene Facon as much as we hear Unity Party people criticizing Henry Costa for endorsing CDC. Can you speak to that?
Well, let's be very clear. I don't know which social media you look at, but Fangon is not a fan of CDC, of seditions. So they've been vastly criticizing him, in fact, insulting him as well, because we are in the political silly season. So quite frankly, yeah, there are those who also view Mr. Fangon as a man that is unserious from the seditions perspective, of the ANC perspective, of other people who have seen, these are talk show hosts, vacillate, between opinions and personalities. So people will have their public opinion. Here's the difference. We are just at a point of an elections, and there were those who truly believe in Mr. Henry Costa, in his effort to, to help secure victory for Joseph Boyka, and suddenly, pivots 360, to become this man that can suddenly change the minds of the people from voting for Joseph Boyka, who he passionately convinced them to vote for. Liberians aren't settling for that, and they've become very independent-minded on these issues. So yeah, there are folks on both sides criticizing Eugene Fangon and criticizing Henry Costa for the inconsistencies they find in politics, and there are those who believe that they are the same, right? So that is just the reality. But what is a bit different for Mr. Costa is clearly he is disgruntled because he wasn't chosen to be the vice president of the Honorable Joseph Boyka. That is a fact, and he wants us to not believe that, or his sympathizers, former sympathizers, to not believe that. Unfortunately, that's not true. Mr. Costa said that.
I will give you enough time, though. I'll give you enough time. I just want to hold you on there. If you said that is a fact, what evidence points to that being a fact, that Costa withdrew from Unity Party because he wanted the vice president, he wanted to run as a vice standard bearer, and he wasn't given that? What makes that a fact?
Thank you. So in the words of Mr. Costa, there were some praying people that met with him and told him that the Lord wants him to be, that he will be the next president of Liberia, but somebody will have to wipe the seat. This was the prophetic word he told the whole world. And then suddenly these people came from nowhere with $30 million, and he told them, listen, give that to the Honorable Joseph Boyka. But then again, when you listen to Joe Boyka Jr., he said that Mr. Costa stated very clearly in a meeting via teleconference that even if Mr. Boyka is rejecting the money, they should consider him as the as a vice presidential pick. It was obvious. I listened to the Honorable Benin Ayure, who is the political leader and standard bearer at the convention of the ALP, who clearly stated that he is hoping Mr. Boyka would choose somebody young. Who is that young person? Henry Costa. So make no mistake, before these elections, we saw everybody making moves to encourage the Honorable Joseph Boyka to choose them. Yombli Kanga, Senator Kanga, was in fact hosting big crowds in Grand Bassa County. Henry Costa was in fact attempting to present himself as presidential. So it's rather unfortunate that he made a decision that didn't sit well with them. But it was their aspiration. It was their desire to serve as vice president. At least Mrs. Lawrence was able to recognize that, the old man made a decision, and therefore she can kind of work with him. But Mr. Costa just went ballistic in relations to that decision. And so to come back and convince the listening audience that he didn't want to be vice president, and that is why he's criticizing this president to be, it's quite a farce.
Reverend Adi, I will come to you. I will come to you next, Mr. Weir. But I would like to stay with you on some of these things you've said, and also in line with what Costa have said.
I also have a follow-up question on that.
Yes, I'll give you the opportunity to do so. I'm sorry, Reverend Adi, if I'm staying too long with you.
Take your time. I love
on this issue. Now, I know you picked up on one of the things Henry Costa said was his desire to run as a vice standard bearer. Well, one thing that you left out also was that one of the reasons why he started to disagree with the ambassador was he making a statement that he would dance with the devil if he had to be president of Liberia, and that was his defense for joining ranks with Jeremiah Cohn of us being in bed with Prince Johnson. And according to Costa, he said he had an issue with that. And also, he said that the former vice president had communicated to him that he had reasons to believe that Costa was trying to kill him. And I may not be quoting him verbatim, but he said something around there. So it wasn't just the fact that he wanted to be vice standard bearer, but he laid a couple of reasons. Now, I have an issue with you not addressing those concerns where you say it's an obvious fact that he wanted to be vice president and Bouaga did not allow him to be that. That's why he withdrew from the Unity Party. Now, that's one of my concerns. If you can address it, I would appreciate it. But the other thing I wanted you to address is, what does this say about Ambassador Bouaga leadership style? If you know how close Costa was to Ambassador Bouaga, you know how close he was. And I remember at one point in time when I asked you for the figure on Unity Party fundraiser, you quoted a post from Costa indicating how close Costa was to Vice President Bouaga. In a very crucial election period, Ambassador Bouaga can allow somebody that close, somebody that influential, to slip out of his hands to now support President Weah. What does that say about him? And this is a pattern. And now, may I remind you that there were 4 in the CPP, and then it became 2. He Unity Party and ALP. Now the ALP has left them and going to CDC. Now it's just Unity Party. What does that say of Ambassador Bouaga leadership style? So if you can address those, I would appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It tells me that he's a man of strong leadership ability. He cannot be influenced by money. So don't forget, it was the same Henry Costa who told the whole world that he was supporting the Honorable Joseph Yuma Boyka. But please understand, when it comes to the national advancement of the nation state, no amount of resources can be used to influence him. In fact, Mr. Henry Costa is on record that the selection of the vice president was the prerogative of Joseph Yuma Boyka. The last podcast that Mr. Costa did, in fact, he celebrated the decision of Vice President Joseph Boyka selecting Jeremiah Cohn because of the political capital he had brought. So is that an inherent contradiction? You were angry at one point for his election, and you claim he said if it means dancing with the devil, that's fine. Whether or not that statement is true, we don't know, but that's Mr. Costa's representation of the conversation. That being said, that to me speaks to the genuine, strong leadership of integrity that the Honorable Joseph Boyka presents. He cannot be bought, he cannot be pressured, he cannot be influenced. All he wants to do is to lay down a leadership, which Mr. Costa laments that, wow, what I was criticizing yesterday is in fact was a good decision for the Honorable Joseph Yuma Boyka. Now, let's be clear. It is an open fact, an open secret that Mr. Costa is disenchanted or disgruntled because he wasn't chosen. And what people need to understand, the Ambassador Joseph Yuma Boyka has made it very clear in one of his recent statements that he wants to build a government of inclusion based on meritocracy. It's not a government that will be comprised of unity partisans. So if you're coming to work with this humble yet committed, far-sighted leader, don't get it confused that your relationship with him will trump the national interest. And unfortunately, Mr. Costa didn't study Mr. Boyka very well, because it's proven to him that when it comes to the national issue, he will make decisions.
Thank you very much. David, I know you had a question. Do you still have a question, and can you address the question to the panelists?
Yeah. No, the question is, so Reverend Adi said Mr. Ure had urged Mr. Boyka to choose a young person as his running mate, and that young person was Costa. Why are you so definitive? How did you know that it was Costa, the only young person that had such an ambition? Is Mr. Cohn not a young person? Other people not in the Unity Party or in the political cycle of Liberia who also young. Why single out Costa? That Costa was the only young person that Mr. You are referring to. How did you come to that conclusion?
Thank you kindly. So when they had the national convention of the ALP, I watched it very well in Liberia. And
What
Mr.
did you
Ure
watch?
spoke, and I encourage you, let me finish. I encourage you to go and watch that. So mind you now, these are the members of the coalition, right? So if Mr. Ure said that he should pick a young person, and Jeremiah Kuhn is 45 years old, in our Liberian African setting, he's young. He's very young. Henry Costa should be in his what, 40s? So then why is he upset if he chose a young man like Jeremiah Kuhn? So who was the young person he was talking to? Do you not believe or think that he wanted someone young from within the party? Senator Yombly Kangai Lawrence is also considered youthful in our Liberian, culture. So, but he didn't choose her, but he chose somebody young, which they stated. The selection of the vice president of the VSB will be the sole prerogative of the standard bearer. And he did that and drove to them to inform them of his decision. But they became disgruntled. So I encourage you to go and listen to the ALP convention, wherein Mr. Ure stated that he will encourage Joseph Boyga to choose somebody young. And I've been a former member of the ALP. Clearly, he wasn't referring to anybody else. When I saw the political posturing of Mr. Henry Costa, he wanted the position. When I saw the unfolding of the events within the party and the saga between them, it was clear.
Thank you.
He wanted the job.
Thank you very much, Reverend Addy. Mr. Weir, I know you had your hands up. You have a rebuttal, but I have a question for you. And guys, we have very few minutes to be here, so if you can stay within the 1 minute 45 seconds, I would appreciate it. But let me ask you this, Mr. Weir. I know you said earlier that you don't want to dwell on this endorsement issue, but I think there is something very important that I want you to respond to. Now, I stressed this earlier, talking about Henry Costa's closeness to Ambassador Boakai just a few months back. Now, it's true. Like one of the commenters said, Reverend Addy picked some of the words of Henry Costa are true, and some of them are just mere fabrication. Yeah. Now, I want you to address this. Given the closeness of Henry Costa to Ambassador Boakai, we all saw it when he was here in the U.S. Now, does it bother you that all of the allegations coming from Costa, Ambassador Boakai have not released a statement to clarify some of those allegations? Let me complete my question. One, does it bother you that he hasn't released a statement to clarify some of these allegations, given that you specifically, Mr. Weir, have on multiple occasions called on President Weir to do a press conference or press statement to address some of the national issues, and Boakai is watching for that seat? Does it bother you that Boakai and Ambassador Boakai have not come out to address some of those allegations? Can you respond to that? Tell us why or why not.
I will say no. But here's what I want to say. The presidency is the highest position in Liberia. Liberia is bigger than any relationship. Whether your wife, your son, and the decision you make as a president tells the Liberian people what kind of man you are. And the reason why we have been having problems in Liberia is building government on friendship. Why it is true, Costa have close to Boakai. So the fact that Boakai close to him long enough, he came to that conclusion that he wasn't fit to be the second man in command. I see people wanting Boakai to speak on issues. To address that,
Daniel,
Boakai will rather focus on his election rather than focusing on an individual.
He's not just an individual. He's
Yes.
somebody that one of
You
the
were close. You were
closest
close to him.
allies
I mean,
to
it
Ambassador
is true
Bouakai.
that he was close to him, but as I said, Liberia is bigger than any one person. Liberia is bigger than any.
So he would just leave that to
So
public opinion.
what I'm saying, Chef, Bouakai put Liberia first. Bouakai put Liberia first, not to select Costa. Bouakai put Liberia first, not to allow Costa to distract his focus of his election for the presidency. Costa's strategy is to draw Bouakai into a one-on-one discussion on the social media or in the media. Bouakai is focusing of talking to the Liberian people.
Would you have accepted that excuse from seditions during the last 5 years for President Weah not appearing to not making press conference or press releases to address one of the national issues?
I'll make that clear again.
Mm-hmm.
Campaigning is different from governance.
What you're getting across here, I understand, but what you're also saying or insinuating is that when Ambassador Bouakai winning the election, he will automatically change from this political leader that never addressed any issue to a president that will address every issue. You expect Liberian people to believe that or to buy into that?
No, President Bouakai right now focusing on his re-election. He doesn't want to be distracted by his son because he called Costa his son. Costa is his son.
I keep reminding you, there were times in this administration when this very same Costa man raised serious allegations on President Weah. And I remember, Mr. Weah, you telling this hard-zone audience, President Weah is supposed to come release press statement. He's supposed to come say something to these national issues, and he did not. Then the same thing fall down to Ambassador Bouakai. Serious allegations. He has not responded to it, and you want to make the Liberian people believe. I'll finish and give you the time. You want to make the Liberian people believe that Ambassador Bouakai do not want to be distracted from his campaign activities, and he should ignore all of these allegations. And they should also believe that when he becomes president, since it is the highest seat in the country, he will automatically change. He will start addressing national issues. He will start releasing press statements to address allegations if they arise. Is that what you want the Liberian people to believe? If he's not doing it now, he's going to do it when he's president.
No, because the Costa case is totally different. Costa just talking because you were close to Bouakai. It's like a practical song.
That should be even more concerned because he was close to Bouakai.
It's a practical you will come.
Exactly.
Let's hear from you, Bishop Reeves.
You see, no. Well, I thank God for the hard zone, and that's why it's called the hard zone, because we need to call it as it is. All right. What I'm hearing is that when it comes to one group of people, we turn the volume down. When it comes to another group of people, we turn the volume up.
No,
you guys give clear distinction between Costa and Eugene Fagon, and how Fagon supported George Weah and where he is now dealing with George Weah. Costa supported Bouakai, and now he's going to George Weah. All those people, they are the same, doing the same thing. Let us not try to put bandage on it to say this person was better or this person never. All of them are the same when it comes to the way they are dealing with the political leaders. If we expected George Weah to make statement, we expect Bouakai to make statement. If George Weah refrained from that because he didn't want to come to the level of those people, then Bouakai is refraining because he doesn't want to come to the level of those people. Let's agree across the board that, okay, this is what the leaders are doing. But you can't tell me that the leader will do certain things because it's politically expedient. Then when they become president, they will begin to speak to the nation and tell us the truth. And then, no. If whatever they're telling us now is what they should be able to tell us when they become president. Whatever George Weah told us before is he should tell us the same thing when he's president. So it's across the board, my people. This is my point here. Across the
So
board.
Reverend Reed, why do people sometimes say, let the sleeping dog lie? Why does it imply in the situation? When Bwaka and Costa said this about we did not respond. Costa said this about Bwaka did not respond. Are people compelled to maybe comment to all criticism? Why do people say let the sleeping dog lie?
Then we shouldn't bring sleeping dog to the public. The public should not come to discuss the sleeping dog, because if the public come to discuss the sleeping dog, then we got to bring everything outside.
Okay.
I think to Mr. Reed's point, if the same to this, let sleeping dog last. Let sleeping dog last on both sides. You should not expect President Weah to release press statement and then make excuses for Ambassador Bwaka. Let me hear you, Reverend Adi, and then we'll take a break and then take you guys to some remarks.
So Henry Costa came up with the first when this political expectation wasn't realized. He came up with his first statement before the first round elections. But Joseph Boyka did not dignify those statements. But his surrogate spokesperson of the party, Mo Ali, they spoke to those issues. Fortunately, you guys didn't listen. That's why we have a party structure to address the multiple of these issues. And now we see Mr. Costa, who's promised for the next 2 weeks that he will be speaking. This coming Friday, he claims to have a quote-unquote bombshell. So every time he speaks, Ambassador Boyka is supposed to get up and address it.
Exactly what
this is not a child's play. This is not a child's play here. All right. Even the United States president goes through a tremendous amount of criticism. If you expect him to start addressing all of the criticism from the Republican Party as a Democrat, or a Republican receiving criticism from a Democrat, come on, guys. It doesn't work like that. And let's be clear.
I'm sorry.
Hold on. Don't break my thought.
Go ahead.
Right. So nobody here is justifying Costa or Fangon. So, I'm really trying to understand, when we have these conversations, do you guys listen to us, or you'll just be waiting until we finish to come and bring your own interposition on the discussion? I clearly made it clear that these two individuals who have projected some degree of inconsistency to their listening audience, those audiences will be able to determine and judge them to their political relevance. That's what we said. That's what I said.
No,
okay. In the context of Mr. Costa, we made it very clear. His inconsistencies has become so prevalent to the point wherein he is receiving the backlash that he's receiving today. So much so that even seditionists who come home do not.
I'm sorry to interrupt, and I don't want for you to go too far from this point. I think your use of the word criticism is you fine-tuning grave allegations. Henry Costa made allegations against Ambassador Bwaka. Great allegations.
Okay.
Allegations on his health. Now, what we're saying here.
So let's look at the motive, though.
Let me finish my question. What we're saying here is we're asking for consistency. That's all we're asking for.
Okay.
We're listening to you on the hard zone here on national issues. You demanded, you criticized President Weah for not responding to it, not having the press conference. At some point in time, you even called him a bobo president. Now, it is election time.
I didn't use that language.
I'm not saying you. At some point in time, others call him a bobo president for not speaking to issues. Now, it is election time. People are going to the pool for change. We are saying in this specific instance, what evidence is Ambassador Bwaka giving the Liberian people that he will be different from President Weah? He will respond to issues of national concerns. He's not president yet. We understand that. But given the proximity of Costa to him at one point in time, he should at least, at the very minimum, say something to these allegations. And he is not doing that. And here's the point. Not only is he not doing that, Unity Party supporters who criticize President Weah for failing to address this issue are the ones defending Ambassador Bwaka not responding to these allegations. They are saying, like Mr. Weah just said, he should not be distracted from his campaign activity. But guess what? Those were the same excuses that sedition provided for President Weah. He shouldn't be distracted from some of the activity he has to do as a president. Exactly. We're asking for consistency For consistency, if he's a
All right.
leader, he should be able to address concern. He should be able to give his words on allegation. When Henry Costa said he stole money, he should come out and say Henry Costa lied. Because Henry Costa is not just one United Party supporter. He is not just an ordinary Liberian. Also, he being an influential talk show host, he has very close proximity to JMB. So he should at least, at the very minimum, be able to address those allegations. But you guys are here providing excuses for him.
It's not an excuse.
Go ahead.
Okay, why
Hold on.
Why the Costa didn't
Hold on.
respond?
So-
Say this on
Please
TV.
go ahead. Sorry.
What am I saying? You are talking about Costa. I'll be clear again.
Mhm.
Liberia is bigger than any one person. Liberia is bigger than any relationship. The presidency called for thought process and decision making. Costa was around. Why wait until you were denying the slot of the vice presidency? There is a seminar on the. Sorry, I don't bring it. I'm just to you on the YouTube right now for Costa. Hi,
when we get into the conversation, when we're discussing the reputation and character of Costa, who will answer this question? Or supporters of Costa will answer this question, but they want concern we are seeking.
In my opinion,
Derek, can we make progress?
In my opinion,
Yes.
what Bwaka is capable of doing for the Liberian people. What is
Mr.
capable of
Bwaka
doing for the
responded to Costa. He responded.
He said on his Facebook
Did you not get a
post,
response?
he said Costa is his son.
Huh?
He never addressed. He said,
Yeah, it's a song.
Listen. No. Check this out.
Go
Check
ahead.
this out.
Go ahead.
He said Costa is my son. I forgive him.
Mhm.
What does that imply?
It does not. I don't know what it implied, but it does not say.
All right. So let me tell you what does that imply. Let me tell you what that implies, Mr. Derek. Let me tell you what that implies. Hold on. 30 seconds. That is simply a reflection of maturity. You cannot forgive somebody that has not wronged you. So what did he say? He's my son. I forgive him. So clearly that means that he is in effect denying some of the fabrications of Mr. Costa.
You can try to find something what you want. When someone accuses me of stealing, and I come out and say, "Oh, that person is my good friend, that person is my good son," you know what I didn't say? I didn't say that person lied my deed. I didn't steal anything. Because he said Costa is his son. He does not.
But don't leave the part of that. He said, "I forgive him."
So Derek, this is the place where we are going to hold every leader of Liberia accountable. I want all of us to make this thing very clear. We will hold President we are accountable. We'll hold GMB accountable. Whoever is vying for that position, we will hold them accountable. And that's what I want us to do. I want us to hold the people accountable. I don't want us to jump behind this person because it's expedient for us. But jump behind the other person because it's expedient for us. Let us hold everybody accountable so that we know that Liberia have a future.
It's true. Again,
I agree with you.
Guys, let's take a break. When we come back, we'll bring you the icebreaker round. And again, the Liberian boy can say you can know if the Christmas will be good on the Christmas Eve. We'll know if Unity Party supporter will hold GMB accountable for the way they held him during the campaign period. But let's talk after the break, guys. After the break, we'll bring you the icebreaker and our closing remark.
At Fatu's, we know what it's like to feel a little homesick. That's why we work hard to bring you the very best and freshest imported foods and supplies from home. With quality design African cloths, beauty supplies, and tasty African food items, you'll feel right at home. So what are you waiting for? Stop by Fatu's African International Market for all of your household and family needs. See you soon.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for staying with us this far. And this is the Liberia Radio and Television Network. You're watching the Horizon episode 9, season 4. And we are at the very end. We have just the icebreaker round. And then we will hear from our panelists on their closing remarks. Guys, we have just very few minutes to do these two categories. So we give you a minute and 30 seconds for your closing remark and just 30 seconds for the icebreaker round. Now, the icebreaker question we have here is, what was the best moment in the first round in the just ended election? What was your best moment? Let me start with you, Reverend Addy. What was the best moment in these elections?
My best moment in these elections was seeing Liberians come out under those torrential conditions to express their support for the Honorable Joseph Yuma Boyka. Pressing through those waters, unhealthy waters, just to demonstrate their support for someone that they believe in. A man of integrity, a man whose indefatigable service to his country, a tried and true tested record of service and contribution to his country. Over the last 12 years, it became very clear that Liberians have come to know that these elections are a choice between life and death. And one of my proudest moments of the Liberian people is the fact that they were able to bring an incumbent to a neck-to-neck race that we're going into a second round.
Thank you very much, Reverend Addy. Let's hear from you now, Bishop Reeves. What was your favorite moment during this elections period? 30 seconds.
My favorite moment in these elections was seeing Liberians come from everywhere to participate in a voting process. We had a lot more Liberians voting in this first round, and I was very excited seeing people coming from everywhere, all the different places coming out to vote, to express themselves. That was my favorite moment. I enjoyed that.
Thank you very much. Let's hear from you now, Mr. Jai Winkin Weir. What was your favorite moment?
Yes, it is the fact that there was a lot of prediction and fear among Liberians that there was going to be a war or fighting during the war. During the electoral process, and that did not happen. Also, in spite of having 20% contesting the presidency of Liberia, the Liberian people were able to see through to bring that down to 2%. That shows that Liberians are getting mature, they know what they want. So for those who are pushing for Liberia to have two-party or one-party system, this process proves them wrong.
Thank you very much. So let's hear from you, Mr. Tankbe. What was your favorite moment during these elections?
Well, my favorite moment, Derek and others, was during the campaign to have seen both CDC partisans, a united partisans, to campaign on a same street opposite each other without any crisis, right on Kerry Street. CDC across the road with Joya, banner and poster with their musical set. United Party with Joseph Boyka banner across the street. We are close to each other. In fact, we're crisscrossing the road. You come to your friend's side, you joke, you go to your other friend's side. I enjoyed that moment during the entire campaign in Central Monrovia without any crisis, without fighting.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, my co-host, Mr. Takpe. And before I come to you guys for your closing remark, my favorite moment, and this is thanks to the media institutions in Liberia and also thanks to Facebook, was when they captured those vying for offices on the line to go cast their vote, and also government officials when they were all standing in line to go and cast their vote. I feel like that moment was empowering. I don't know if Liberian people saw it from that vantage point. It shows to me that, contrary to the norms in Liberia, where government officials almost seems like they're gods and something, I feel like that was an empowering moment because it shows that it's the people that put them in power, and it should be seen the other way around. they are the employer, and that was a moment for them to employ whoever they want. So I enjoy that moment. I hope that brings both here from that also from that perspective. Again, guys, thank you so much to all of you for your contribution on the show tonight. And thank you all of you watching us for your contribution, leaving and leaving your comment here and us highlighting it. And I want to thank you all for doing that for us. And just to highlight one of the comments here is that my best moment was Senator Delon carrying around a blue plastic bag with fake tally sheets, claiming that Unity Party had won the elections in one round, and that gave birth to the blue plastic challenge, I should say. So thank you for sharing that with us. Well, let's hear from you guys. Give us your closing remark. Let me hear from you.
No. Why are you only reading the CDC people then comment? You can't read the Unity Party people on the comment. You see how you acting as a moderator?
No. First of all, I'm not gonna lie there.
No. All the people that are making comment. When you hit on the thing, you will see Joe. We have picture there. Why you can't read the Unity Party people on the thing?
Reverend I'm not going
just
to
messing with you, man.
I understand, but I have to clarify that it was the last comment here on my screen. That's why I just read one comment. I wasn't.
No. You see, you asked me the first question from the CDC man. I went to his page. He gave Joe. We have picture there. You got to ask. You got to
check it. All of the comments, whether United Party, CDC, or whatever party, will put them right on the screen. So why are you attacking me for just reading one? Everything.
No, that is the second question. I mean, that's the second comment. The first question was from the CDC guy that you asked before.
Well, I think the person clarifying.
You got to balance the team as a moderator.
They say they're not sedition. The person clarifying. They say they're not sedition. So go ahead and give us your closing remark.
All right, my fellow Liberians. Thank you for all of your comments. One of the most beautiful thing is we have these discussions to encourage people, by and large, to make an informed decision. We do not come with these comments to be insulting, disrespectful in any way, shape, or form, but to provide a clear choice between the incumbent judge, President George Weah, and that of Joseph Imam-Boyka, who has the wealth of experience, who over the last 12 years managed a One Health program, education, the environment, to the point where over $30 million came to Liberia to fight Ebola, among several other things is done. Much of your roads today that are being paved by this current government happened under that of the Honorable Joseph Imam-Boyka. Much of the funding that is a continuity of your roads being paved today happened under the government of President Joseph Imam-Boyka. So let's be very clear. We're not providing misinformation. We are not supporting crimes in any way, shape, or form. But Liberians have a clear choice. You have a choice between poverty and prosperity. At least when you look at the UN report regarding this current government, the proliferation of ghettos, the threat to your security, poor quality health education, among several other things, civil servants' pay being harmonized, you have a decision to make between these two people. And Joseph Imam-Boyka brings that next generation of potential prosperity for those who will make that decision. Hence, we're encouraging you to vote number one, because Liberia deserves better. We deserve better, so much so that the U.S. ambassador outgoing reminded us that this government is too corrupt. We deserve so much better that the incoming U.S. ambassador is very concerned about the corruption of this government. And make no mistake, in the words of Alexander Benedict Cummings, he stated very clearly that this government is irredeemably corrupt.
Thank you.
Incompetently, dangerously incompetent, and unchangeably irresponsible. And he called on his supporters to give this government a red card. Please give him a red card. Thank you
very much, Reverend Adi. Let's hear from you, Bishop Reeves. 1 minute 30 seconds. We are out of time.
Well, I want to thank all of you for the opportunity to come on this show. I want everybody to be clear that the fact that we disagree with each other doesn't make us enemies. Disagreement is healthy for us and going forward. And I also want to say that I always stand on the side of integrity. I will hold every leader in Liberia feet to the fire so that the future of Liberia can be strong. And last but not least, I will want to appeal to us to take on that subject of Joe Howard Taylor, because I want you to know that someone being sanctioned is different from someone being blacklisted. Joel Taylor was never sanctioned. When you talk about sanction, the other people who were sanctioned, they gave you the reasons why they sanctioned them and the corruption, all of that. Joel Taylor does not have that record. There's nothing of hers that has to do with sanction. She was blacklisted, and we can talk about that if you want to in the next time. I just bless God for all of you, and I love you guys. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bishop Reeves. Let's hear from you, Mr. Jah Winkin Weah. Mr. Weah, you're on mute. You're gonna have to start over. We can't.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. My fellow Liberians, whether you vote or not, you will have Boakai or Weah as your president. We know the both men are not perfect, but Liberia is bigger than anybody. Liberia is bigger than any tribe. Liberia is bigger than any relationship. So you as a Liberian, you experienced the 6 years of President Weah. If your life better, then Weah is the path for you. But I disagree for you to say Liberia was like that before Weah became a president. Yes, it is because of the wrong path was why he was elected over all the politicians. But when he took power, he made himself more than the same greedy politicians that put personal interest first than Liberian people. For this reason, I believe the presidency is the only tools for any Liberian to change our country. The country is corrupt, but the presidency is the place to make the change. And we had the opportunity. We was more popular in the first round. You would have even called for a referendum to bring about change.
Thank you.
That did not happen. For that reason, I say he doesn't deserve a second term. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jah Winkin Weah. Now let me come to you. My co-host, Mr. Takwe, just conclude all of this for us. Give us your final words, and then I will give just two announcements we have here, and then draw the curtain to this episode.
What I can say, Derek, is that I'd like to first of all thank the panelists, those who stay on, those who've left. I noticed that the house was becoming harder, and because of the exchanges, and that is making the house harder. And I hope that it remains like that and it continues. However, as you know, I'm in Liberia. The campaign is heating up gradually as we go towards the run on the elections, and the endorsement window is still open. We're waiting for the endorsement, the political party, Weah and his CDC and Joseph Boakai Unit Party. They're looking up to those who haven't, like Cummins and the other guy who haven't declared who they're supporting. But we are getting hints that the CPP will tomorrow be endorsing the CDC ambassador, Judge Weah. Those are the hints we're getting. But however, good night, gentlemen. The time is about 3.
Please don't end the show before I make the announcement.
Okay.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Takwe, for co-moderating or co-hosting the show with me. And to you panelists, those of you that are still here and those of you that left us, say thank you again for Mr. Jah Winkin Weah. You guys been here from day one, Mr. Reverend Ali, all of the contribution, and Bishop Reeves. Thank you guys so much. Let me just give this announcement. One of our panelists' book signing that will be on the 11th of this month at 10 a.m. prompt. So at the Mountain Library, second floor, Bill Simpson Room. 159 E Market Street, York, PA 17401. The life, the laws, the legal say through a daughter's eyes. So through a daughter's eyes. So that is from one of our panelists here, Grace Goa. Book launch, book signing will be on November 11, 2023 at 10 a.m. prompt. And before I draw the curtain to this episode, I would like to say thank you to all of you that join us here every week on Thursday at 8 p.m. Those of you in the audience. One thing I would like to say is that when we started the show, we wanted, like I said in our intro, we have a different style of discussing issues in Liberia. But one thing we all share here is that our vested interest is that we put Liberia first. So if you're joining us, regardless whether you're in the live section, in the comment sections, you're still a part of the show. If you want to appear live, we will send you the link and you can come on. And I'm saying this to say that we should always try to remain respectful of each other's point of view. So you have your point of view in the comment section. You're watching us. If you want to express that, as you can see, we will highlight all of the comments here. So we'll try to provide a clean content for everyone to be able to feel respected, to have their views expressed in a way that it can go through to the Liberian people. Because at the end of the day, we are all here for one reason. None of the panelists here are being paid or compensated. As you can see, they stay here for 3 to 4 hours. They could be doing something else, making money, but they choose to stay here. So let them have respect for their time. Let's have respect for their views. Let's stop the personal attacks. Let's express our view in a way that it will not be disrespectful to others. But overall, I'd like to thank you all for your support. Thank you all for staying with us up to season 4, episode 9. And again, I would like to remind you that we'll be right back here on next Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. So join us again. Join the Liberia Radio and Television Network. Make sure you continue to share the program. Make sure you follow the network and encourage your friends and family to do as well. So to you esteemed panelists and to my co-host, I would like to say a pleasant good night. And to those of you watching us, I would like to say good night as well.
Stay Records.
She show you her boyfriend.